Club owner Clark Garl claims former customer Tim Nesh skipped out on a $2,000 tab for a bachelor party.
Mr. Garl, you own some sort of a club establishment, and the defendant made a bachelor party there. According to your complaint, he still owes you several $1,000s for his bar tab.
Yes.
The defendant says that he paid you $900. I believe that's what you...
He charged it, but we're disputing it.
Did you pay him $900?
He charged it without our consent, but we're disputing it, ma'am.
You owe him money.
No.
Yeah, sure you do. Hey, did you go there?
Yes.
How many people went there in your party?
About 30.
So you expect to go there and drink for nothing?
No, but I expect...
Okay, so then you owe him some money.
No.
Mr. Nash,
yes.
Let me explain something to you, sir. And there is going to be a judgment in favor of the plaintiff for a certain amount of money. I don't know how I'm going to be able to reconstruct exactly what you owe him, but you had a bachelor party there, you drank his liquor, you used his establishment, and you are going to pay him. You do understand that?
Not all 30 people drink, though.
Mr. Nash, I'm going to tell you something, sir.
Yes, sir.
At my age, I know enough about bachelor parties that everybody had something to drink. Everybody.
Maybe some water.
Well, he's entitled to be paid for water that somebody drinks at his club.
Okay.
Now, you had 30 people at this bachelor party. What were the financial arrangements, Mr. Garl, with regard to the per-person charge, exclusive of alcohol?
The party was set up for January 13th with Christina and Tim.
Christina, stand up.
Christina is my event coordinator for...
Okay, event coordinator Christina, who has a last name which is?
Perez.
How much were you charging per person to come into the club?
$10.
So that's $300 if he had 30 people.
Correct.
Now, did you ask for a guest list?
Yes, I did.
When did you ask for a guest list?
At the time that we arranged the party.
And what did Mr. Nesh say?
That he wouldn't be providing a guest list because he wasn't sure how many guests he would be bringing to the club on January 13th at the bachelor party.
Well, how did you expect Mr. Nesh to figure out how many people were going to be charged for the $10 entrance fee?
We did a head count on the way in.
And how many were there?
30.
You have a list of those 30?
I don't know.
How many were there?
Over 40.
There was more like 55.
That's because they're letting people in on their own, so...
Just a second.
At 40, we quit counting.
If he acknowledges 30, there were at least 40. Okay.
Wow.
Shh. You may not lose this whole thing, Mr. Nash, but don't start on the wrong side with me, sir.
Okay.
When you use somebody's business, you have to be prepared to pay for it.
It should also protect you as well. I mean, they should let people in with knives.
Mr. Nash?
Go ahead.
If you choose to have a bachelor party with 40 people, sometimes things get out of hand. Was this the only place you were going that evening?
Yes.
And you started out there?
Yes.
What time?
About 10:30, 11.
What time did they get to your place?
11:30.
What time did they leave?
Their party started a ruckus about, it was about 1:40.
And what was the financial arrangement with regard to the booze?
They wanted to be VIPs, come in, and they were going to take care of everything at the end of the night.
Do you have a contract with them?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please. What do you do for a living, Mr. Nash?
I own a car audio business.
So you're a businessman?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you sign this?
Yes.
Good. Did you present him with a bill?
Yes, we did. The next morning,
What was the bill?
the bill was $2,297.
Okay. So, Mr. Nash, you are a businessman. You signed this contract. The contract says, no guest list, walk in. Christina will take a head count and give it to Audie. Who's Audie?
Audie is the bar manager.
You said the price per bottle is $100 and up, depending upon selection. Private cocktail waitress was $100. You said number of guests 20 to 30, but you agreed that she would do the head count at the door.
We both came up at the same number at the club.
No, what I'm
I was
telling-
with her when she was doing the head count.
And what was the number you came up with?
30. And she was letting people in, and I tell her that these people aren't with us. I actually had to bring the people back and have them pay them cash. And she still counted them afterwards, after the couple days that went by.
You could have modified this contract and said, Christina, and what's your first name?
Tim.
Tim will do a head count at the door. That's not what you said. You said Christina, that's her, will do a head count at the door. You said you were going to pay the bar tab.
Okay.
So?
But did you see the rest of it that says that it'll have a mid-VIP section blocked off as well?
The entire mid-VIP section?
That's what brought the bar tab up to some outrageous amount that he's asking for.
Well, tell me why, sir.
Because it's supposed to be sectioned off as per the contract. People are coming in and out as they please, drinking our drinks, ordering on our tab, you know, bottles that we don't even drink, you know, alcohol that we don't even drink. So it's coming to our table that we ended up getting asked to pay. So that's not our thing. He should have had it blocked off and should have checked people walking in and out.
Well, when you say blocked off, how is it separated? How are your 30 to 40 people separated?
Because it's a separate section from the rest of the club.
Okay.
It's supposed to be sectioned off on the sides, which it wasn't.
Well, what did you expect them to do?
Maybe stand somebody there at the door, maybe chain it off. Just as it says, blocked off, you know, it's not blocked off.
How did you block it off?
They were offered private security at $100 per person, and they refused. Being that it was a bachelor party, I ended up putting a security person on either end, which they tipped $100 to each security person to go out to the dance floor and bring girls to their private party.
Oh, were you there? Did you see that?
Yes, I was.
Just a second.
I'm in that club every weekend, and I was standing right there.
That's cute.
And Tim actually complained to me about one of the girls dancing with one of my security guys at the entrance of their blocked off area.
Did you actually observe women from the dance floor being escorted to the midsection VIP area?
Al, which I think is Tim's cousin, was actually asked to get back in the bar from my security because he was out front bringing people in from the outside from the line inside, which we didn't charge. I mean, after 40 people, we stopped charging them, but it got ridiculous that they were inviting so many people in from the outside. And
Men or women?
women.
Who's Al?
He's my cousin.
Al the procurer?
No. Al Nesh.
You see?
I
Good.
just like you, that's
I'm
all.
interesting, right? I'm interesting.
You are.
When you say there were 30 to 40 guests, Mr. Nesh, listen to me very carefully, sir.
I'm
The
listening.
30 to 40 guests that were yours, were they all guys?
No.
How many women?
Maybe 6, 7 girls.
Ooh, yeah, right. You want to know something, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
I never remember. I have sons, I have son-in-laws. They never invite women to their bachelor party.
But can I give you...
They end up there, but they don't come as invited guests. Al, the procurer, may have gone outside and brought some women in to dance. Stop laughing. Not helping him. He's going to be angry after you leave that you hurt his case. Do you understand?
I'm just smiling.
Do you understand?
Can I ask you something?
No, you can't ask me anything, sir, because you know why?
Why?
I have spent a lifetime in this profession so that I don't have to answer your questions. You have to answer my questions. I don't answer your questions.
That's not fair, though. I thought a judge was supposed to be fair.
You want fair?
I was just wondering
You
if a
want
judge was supposed to be fair.
In Washington, D.C., in the Supreme Court, you get fair. Here you get me. Now, Mr. Nesh, listen to me very carefully, sir. If you said to me, listen, there were other people that were left in the VIP section that were not part of our party, and they got some drinks, and you were reasonable with the club.
Oh, I was.
Reasonable with the club and said, listen, let's come up with a figure that I can live with. We had 40 people there that came in, and maybe we brought in another 10, 15 women because we were all dancing, you know, and the women were also drinking. So maybe in total we were 50 people. Times 10 is $500. Now let's say each one of them drank $20 worth. That's an easy, right? You can drink $20 worth in 2 hours. You drank the water.
I drank cranberry juice.
You drank, well, cranberry juice, very good for you. Very good for you, also expensive. At a club, sometimes you can pay the same thing for a cranberry juice as you can for a beer.
Especially at this club where they rip you off.
Then you shouldn't have gone there. That's not his
I know, I
problem.
wish I did.
Find someplace else to go. But I would say that minimally, at a bachelor party that arrives at 11:30 and leaves 2 hours later, that everybody has one drink an hour at $10 a drink. That's $20 a person. $20 times 50 people, $1,000 plus $500 entrance fee. That's $1,500. Now, if you had said to him, listen, Mr. Garl, we didn't have a good time. Somebody came in, took a knife, we had to leave, whatever the problem was, I'm prepared to give you $1,500. However, they put a $900 tab on your bill, and you just told me that you're contesting that, that you don't owe them anything. That's unreasonable, Mr. Nash.
No, it's not.
How much did they offer you to resolve this?
They wanted to take $650 off of the bar tab because they said that they didn't drink tequila, they didn't like tequila.
What was the whole tab that you have?
The whole tab of theirs is $22.97.
And they just wanted, uncross your arms.
No.
And they just wanted to take off $600?
And $50.
So they wanted to give you $1,700.
Yeah.
And what did you say to them?
I said this wasn't Mexico, it's not negotiable.
What does Mexico have to do with it? Why are you so racist
Well,
about that?
I'm not racist about it,
What's wrong
but
with this guy?
I asked we had a conversation about them putting a car stereo in a car, and then somebody saying they would obviously either remove it, but this is a situation where we can't.
But if I put something in someone's car that didn't ask for it, right? Just like as he put drinks on my tab that I didn't ask for, I'm going to take it out and I'm going to apologize
Nash,
to the customer for doing
The problem is, sir, when you make a party, how many bachelor parties have you made?
Have I made? That
Yes.
was my first one.
Okay. Well, then maybe you need a little bit of an education. When you make any kind of a party, a function, and you have what they call an open bar, they're going to give you a bill at the end of the evening.
I'm familiar with that.
It's sort of understood that if you have an open bar, that you're going to have to trust the establishment or don't make the party. What?
Just want to say something, you're not going to get mad.
I don't guarantee you I'm not going to get mad.
All right, but-
I'm here because I get mad. What?
In an open bar and ordering when you're at the club, I did the ordering myself, so I know what I ordered.
You didn't order for all these people, especially for the
All these
procurer's
people are people that we're hanging out with all the time.
No, listen to me.
But I know
listen
who
to
I'm
me.
hanging out
Cousin procurer went out and brought in girls
But that's
to
not
dance.
true. That's you just taking his word.
I am taking his word. You want to know why?
Tell
I'm
me.
taking his word, sir, because it's a bachelor party.
But it's not a
That's
bachelor-
what they do. You wanted to have a Tupperware party, you should have stayed home.
I know.
Yo, $2,200. Pay the bill and don't make any more parties. You don't know how to do it. That's
24-year-old Thomas Matthews is suing his ex-fiancée, 29-year-old Janice Hadsall, for the return of the engagement ring. Janice claims she sold the ring to pay bills.
Mr. Matthews, according to your complaint, you and the defendant became engaged.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
bought her a ring. You were supposed to move into a new townhouse.
Yes.
So far, that's correct. Is that right?
No, Thomas and I had never gotten engaged.
According to your complaint, you bought her an engagement ring.
Yes.
And you wanted to move into a townhouse. In order to do that, you had to break your lease. And you paid the bills to do that, to break the lease,
Yes.
so that you could move into this new townhouse together.
Yes.
After you paid those bills, you found out that Miss Hadsall was sort of friendly with her ex-husband again. Are you now living in the townhouse, sir?
Yes.
And is living in the townhouse with the ex-husband, which was facilitated through your paying the bills to get her out of her old lease.
Correct.
That's
So
not
you
true.
want two things. You want the engagement ring back, and you want the bills that you paid.
Yes.
Let's talk about the ring first.
Okay.
You have it?
No, I don't.
Where is it?
Well, when Thomas and I was supposed to move in the townhome, he agreed to help me with the bills and the utilities and stuff like that. When he and I had split up or broken up, that I had to sell not only that ring, but some other items that I had for
I don't believe
my
you.
bills.
I think you're a liar. I think you just didn't bring it because you didn't want to give it to me. That's what I think. How much was the ring?
$2,069.56.
Describe it to me.
It was white gold. I believe it was a carat and a half.
You have the bill for it?
Yes.
Well, that's what Kay Jewelers calls it, an engagement ring. And Kay Jewelers doesn't lie. Talk and talk fast.
We had started dating. We moved into an apartment together. We didn't like the apartment that we had gotten. He and I had some problems. We decided that after we were going to move out of the apartment together, that we went ahead and split up, and he moved out immediately into his parents' home. We had talked about, before we moved into the townhome, possibly getting back together. The day after we got back together, he told me to meet him at the apartment, that he had a gift for me. When he showed up at my place, he gave me the ring. And I told him, you do understand that we just got back together, that we're not getting engaged? He said, that's fine. He had asked me, when do you think would be a good time to get engaged? And I told him, not even for a year from now.
You're
And he
not a
said that
nice
was
person.
fine.
You're not a nice person. You said it or not. Bottom line is, you're old enough to know what an engagement ring looks like. And if you accept it, and if later you go back to your ex-husband, you be a nice person, and you give him back his ring so he doesn't feel like a fool. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Do I make myself clear?
Yes.
But Let me tell you about the bills. Sometimes in a relationship, you are either the dumpor or the dumpee. You got dumped on. The second part of your claim is that you got dumped on because you paid the bills to get her out of a lease so that she could move into a place that she really liked. And she did move into a place she really liked, only not with you. That's something that's not nice, but it's not something that's actionable in a court.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah, I do.
When you filed for divorce against ex-husband, were you the plaintiff or defendant?
The plaintiff.
And what did you allege in the action for divorce? Don't say You remember. What were the grounds for divorce?
He had an alcohol problem.
So he was abusive.
Not physically abusive, mentally abusive.
He was abusive, right?
Yes.
Because when you have an alcohol problem, you're not only abusive to you, you're abusive to your children, right?
Not technically.
Oh, not technically.
No.
No. How do you think I'm so smart? You think he doesn't have an alcohol problem now?
No.
You don't think that?
No, I don't.
And you brought him back into the lives of your children.
Yes, I did.
That makes you doubly stupid. But that's your prerogative. Meanwhile, you owe him $2,070 for the engagement ring since it's not here. That's all. Step out.
Stacy Levine says ex-boyfriend Rory Rodriguez owes for a cell phone bill and the cost of a plane ticket. Rory claims Stacy knew he wouldn't be able to pay her back.
Miss Levine, this used to be your boyfriend, and according to your complaint, he owes you for a plane ticket and for a cell phone bill.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez says the cell phone was your idea in order to keep in touch with him, and he never used the plane ticket.
Yes.
How long did this romance go on? For how many months?
About 8 months.
And when did you get involved with his cell phone business?
In July of '06.
How long had you known him?
7 months.
So you got involved in his cell phone business a month before you broke up.
Correct.
Tell me how that came about.
He had been complaining he had wanted a new phone, and he was on his father's plan. His father would not allow him to get a new phone, and we had discussed getting him a new phone with a different carrier so that we could talk with free minutes. Also, we had a verbal agreement that if I bought him a new phone, he would pay me back as soon as he got his check that month in July.
Where were you working?
I was a nanny. I was working as a nanny.
And what was he doing?
Nothing.
Well, when was he supposed to pay you for the cell phone?
Well, he said he was getting another check in July from the school district.
What kind of work does he do for the school district?
He was a campus supervisor.
When was the bill that you claim he owes you? Was it a bill or was it the actual cell phone that
There's
he owes you?
two. I paid for the cell phone in July, and then there was also a bill that has accrued since we started the phone.
How much was the phone itself?
$229.30.
And how much was the bill?
The bill now is $724.38.
For how many months?
That was the last statement I got was in March of this last year.
Why didn't you just cut off the phone?
I did end up shutting off the phone. That was after he racked up all of the charges. He had promised to pay the bill every month. I had set up the bill to go to his address. His name was on it as well. My name was just used for credit purposes. So he got the statement every single month in the mail to his address, and he told me he was paying it.
You mean after you broke up?
Yes. Well, when I set up the phone in July, he
said he would pay it, but this $724 isn't for 1 month
No.
or 2 months. And according to you, you broke up in August.
We did break up in August, and I paid the first bill in September. And then
You did? Why?
Because he had called me. I was out of town. He called me and told me he needed the bill paid, and I didn't want it to go into collections at that time, so I did pay it over the phone.
And what about the next month's bill?
He told me he paid it. I was on the phone with Verizon. He said I sent a check.
Let's talk about the cell phone. Get the plane ticket in a second. Talk.
She knew that I was out of work, working for the school district. It's a 10.5-month job.
Well, then that's what you do for a living. You work for a school district that's a 10.5-month job.
Right. And she was well aware.
Don't tell me what she was aware of, sir. I want to hear your explanation of needing a new telephone.
I did not need a new telephone. I was perfectly fine with the one that I had underneath my father's plan. The only reason that she wanted me to have the cell phone was so that we could talk for free, and we could text message for free.
Okay, so as one of your famous, fabulous 5 friends? Or
Something along those lines, yeah.
I don't do that. I don't have 5 people that I want to speak to that often. Let's discount the phone for a second, Mr. Rodriguez. What about your cell phone bill? Why didn't you pay that?
She what?
I had no money. I was out of work. I wasn't out of work, but I wasn't working.
Well, get a job, sir.
I had a job.
Then don't talk on a cell phone.
We broke up in August, and after August, the phone was never used.
Oh, show me. Can I see a bill if that's true? If it's after August, is that what you're telling me?
The phone, once we broke up, the phone was...
That's the bill.
No, all I want to know is, you're saying to me, once you broke up in August, the phone was never used.
Correct.
He did not rack up $500 in a month.
Oh, no. I need the bills from September, October, November. This doesn't tell me anything, madam.
It says what the charges are.
For what month?
For all of them. The phone wasn't shut off until December.
I understand that the phone wasn't shut off until December, but there's a factual dispute. If he says that he did not use the phone after you broke up, then some credence to his story that you decided to get this phone so that the two of you could either chat or text message each other for nothing. One phone bill doesn't do it for me. Do you understand?
I understand that, yes.
Do you have the others with you?
I do not have any other phone bills with me.
Here, give this back to her for now.
That was the only way I was able to get a hold of him, was his cell phone. So I did talk to him on the cell phone.
That's not my statement to you, madam. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Fine. So, since you didn't bring that with you, I'm going to dismiss the cell phone portion of your claim without prejudice. You can certainly sue him for that amount of money when you have the appropriate documents to back up your story. You don't have them today. Now let's get to the plane ticket. When was the plane ticket purchased?
July of '06.
July what?
I believe it was the 14th.
And when did you officially break up with him?
The last week of August.
When was this trip supposed to take place?
We were supposed to leave September 1st, and we broke up the very week before.
9/1. And where were you going?
We were going to Pennsylvania and Cleveland.
For what?
Pennsylvania to visit family, Cleveland to the Cleveland Clinic, and then to the Canton to the Football Hall of Fame.
When did you purchase the ticket?
July 14th of '06.
Is that correct?
I'm not sure what the date was.
Well, I'm sure she has documents showing when she purchased the ticket and when you were supposed to leave.
I've never had, in my possession, I've never had the ticket, so I
it
don't
doesn't
know
make any
when she
difference,
bought
sir.
it.
Because what I found interesting was you said that the reason you were going to Pennsylvania is to attend her grandfather's funeral. That's what you say. And I said to myself, well, how do you plan for something like that 2-3 weeks in advance? You know,
No.
I don't know whether her grandfather is alive or not, but you don't...
Her grandfather did pass away.
Yes.
On the trip that we were supposed to go to, her grandfather did pass away.
But he did
I
not
don't
pass away.
Shh. I have no idea what you just said to me.
Her grandfather passed away on the trip that we were supposed to go to.
But you hadn't planned on going there for his funeral unless he had some sort of premonition that he was going, sir.
We did, though, ma'am. It was something that was known for a while that
he was going to die while you were there?
Not while we were there, but
you know, you sound ridiculous. You know, you sound ridiculous. You mean she wanted to go visit her grandfather because he was sick?
Right.
That's not what you said here. You said that you planned to go to Pennsylvania to attend her grandfather's funeral.
Right.
He's not too swift. Okay, tell me about the plane ticket.
We were going to go visit family in Pennsylvania and then move on to Cleveland. He was going to accompany me and my mother. My mother actually purchased the tickets and spoke with Rory on the phone. And
Perfect. Can you step up? Your last name is?
Randall.
Miss Randall, tell me about the conversation you had with Mr. Rodriguez about this plane ticket.
On the day that we were purchasing the tickets, I spoke with him on the phone, and he told me he would reimburse Stacy for the airfare. And at the same time, we opened up the airline's frequent flyer mileage account for him, set that up, and it was my clear understanding from him during that conversation.
I don't want to hear your clear understanding.
Sorry.
I want to hear what he said to you.
He said he would reimburse Stacy for the cost of the airline ticket.
And then what happened? Thank you.
We broke up,
Yes,
and there was no reason for me to go on a trip with him if we weren't together.
absolutely right, sir.
And
Was
at the
ticket-
same time as
Was the ticket refundable?
it was non-refundable. I tried transferring it into my name so that I could use it. I was not able to do that. I told him that as soon as I knew that. I said, here's the ticket. You know, you can use it for up to a year later. Did not give it to him because he had not paid for it. And he still has until July 14th of this year to use it.
Did you have that discussion with him?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember that discussion when she said it's non-transferable, but you can use it for up to a year?
Yes.
Well, then you have to pay for it.
When we had talked originally about buying this ticket, I told her, just as a cell phone, I did not have money because
I believe her mother, that her mother had the discussion with you, sir.
And
I believe her mother. I do not believe you that you didn't have that discussion with her mother.
I'm not saying that I didn't have the discussion with her mother, but what I'm saying is that I was out of work.
I don't care whether you were out of work.
And I let them know that I couldn't pay them immediately.
That's a different story. The word is immediately. So you, you don't intend to be unemployed forever.
When we had broken up, so there was no reason for me to even go on the trip with them.
Of course not, sir, but the ticket is non-refundable. I want you to try to expand your brain a little bit, Mr. Rodriguez. The fact that you broke up and you had non-refundable ticket, let's say instead of going to Pennsylvania, you were going with her to Cancun, Mexico, and you purchased 2 non-refundable tickets. She put it on her credit card. You broke up. There's no question. You said, listen, we're not going on this trip. She's not going to go alone. I'm not going to go alone. But the airline says to you, and they say to you, listen, if you can't back, but you can reschedule within the next 6 months. She put it on her credit card. Do you think you're responsible to pay her for those tickets?
No.
You're wrong. You are. You have an opportunity to use the tickets, but you can't say, I'm not going to touch those tickets. You promised the mother that you were going to pay her back for the tickets. You had an opportunity to use them for a year. You should have used them. And I suggest you get your behind into gear because you still have a couple of days to use them. Figure out where you want to go. If you want to go to the Hall of Fame, that's a great place to go for a weekend. How much were the tickets?
$331.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $331. With regard to the cell phone bill, you bring the right proof. Either I'll entertain your application or another court of competent jurisdiction will do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Have a happy life.
Eve Dettenheim is suing her sister, Carol Dettenheim, for damaging her car when she ran into a deer. Carol says she offered her sister a portion of the deer meat as payment.
Ms. Dettenheim, this is your sister.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, she took your car. Your neighbors?
Yes.
She took your car, you say without permission, had an accident, you want her to pay for the damage to your car.
Yes.
Your sister says she really had your permission because she used to borrow the car all the time. You left the back door open, she grabbed the keys, she needed some diapers or something, she wanted to go to the store. There was an accident, it was unavoidable, she hit a deer, damaged the car, and her defense is you should have had better insurance. Is that your defense?
I thought she had full coverage.
What made you think that?
I just didn't think.
You didn't think? Who do you rely on to do your thinking?
I just used it all the time, and she wasn't home, so I went over there to get the key and went, and the deer just jumped out in front of me.
Was the deer hurt?
Oh, it died.
Did you wait for somebody to come and take the carcass away?
No, I put pine straw over it and took the antler and went and got it later.
Went and got what later?
The deer.
What'd you do with it?
Ate it.
Is that true?
Yes, ma'am, and she even offered me some, but I'm not having rigor mortis stew.
It did not have rigor mortis. I went back.
That is just sick.
Can I see pictures of your car, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Where do you live, Miss Dettenheim?
Louisiana.
Where in Louisiana?
Hainesville.
How long have you and your sister been neighbors?
For 1 year.
Who moved close to whom?
She moved close to me.
You have an estimate to fix this car?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it, please. Are you angry with your sister?
A little bit. I feel like she needs to own up to the responsibility that she did damage my car and make what is wrong right.
So, what do you think?
Well, that night when I told her about the wreck, I thought it was just a headlight. And, you know, we talked about it and looked at everything. But then the next morning, she come over there just hollering at me, banging on my door, telling me how I owed her and all this. And I've helped her with a lot of stuff in the past and has made my life. I had to move because, I mean, I still have the house, but I can't stay with her. She'll do stuff like rev up her engine in the morning, trying to wake up my son and stuff, trying to make my life hard. And it's become an issue. It's like the Hatfield McCoys or something. So,
do you work?
No, ma'am.
How do you support yourself?
My boyfriend.
Does he live with you?
Well, I'm staying with him now, just because she's hard to be next to.
Well, when's the last time you were employed?
I'm a student right now. It's been almost a year. I've been a stay-at-home mom.
A student of what?
I'm going to be a bail bondsman.
And how often do you go to school for that?
Right now, it's just a little course right now.
So why don't you work?
Because
Well, you have to because you owe your sister $1,300.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to have to owe $1,300.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,300. Thank you very much.
Your Honor.
Go back to Louisiana and be happy.
Rachel Cooper says she was assaulted during a custody exchange by her daughter's great aunt, Felicia Lisa West. Felicia claims Rachel is an unfit mother and is countersuing also for assault.
Miss Cooper.
Yes.
Miss West is the paternal aunt of your baby.
Yes.
Who's the father of your baby?
He's sitting right there.
What's your name?
Thomas Robinson.
How old are you?
I'm 24.
Is this your only child?
Yes.
And since he's sitting over there, I assume you're not together.
No.
How old is your baby?
She's 6 months.
You have a drug problem?
No, I don't.
Have you used drugs?
Yeah, before I had my baby.
Have you used drugs after she was born?
No. I drank a little bit, but...
What was your drink of choice?
Remy.
Remy?
Yes. Remy Martin, cognac.
It's pretty heavy stuff, isn't it?
I guess, for my age.
Who do you live with?
I live with my mom now.
Who else lives with your mother?
My dad.
Your lawsuit alleges that Miss West was babysitting for your daughter. You went to get her. Miss West refused to give her to you, and she assaulted you. Miss West says that when you came to pick up your daughter, you had been drinking. She felt that the child was at risk. She refused to give you the child. She says that you, in fact, assaulted her. So, when did Miss West start to babysit for your daughter?
This was January 2nd. This was the first time she has ever babysitted for me.
How old was your daughter at that time?
She was born in November, so about 1.5 months.
And why was Miss West babysitting for your daughter?
Because I figured the father's family never sees the baby, so I figured, let me give them a call so they could see her. So, in turn, they came to pick me up, and she decided to watch the baby. She offered to take care of the baby.
All right. She said what to you?
She said, oh, I could watch her for you. You could go out and have a good time.
And did you do that?
Yes.
Second?
Yes.
What time?
This was probably in the evening around 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock.
Good. When did you come back?
I came back the next day.
Where did you go that night?
I was with her niece, Katie, and Lisa's daughter, and some of her nieces.
Where did you sleep that night?
At her sister's house.
Okay, so the next day you came back on January the 3rd.
Yes.
What time?
I came back around 10 o'clock in the morning.
Go ahead.
So I went over there, was with my baby for that whole day.
Was Miss West at home?
Yes, she was at home.
Okay, keep going.
So, anyways, that same day, she ends up telling me that, it's time for me to go home. I said, okay. She says, but you could leave your baby here and I could watch her for you overnight. I said, oh, no, that's okay. I could go home. She said, are you sure you're going to be able to take care of the baby because you've been drinking? I said, of course I'll be able to take care of my baby. I'm fine.
Had you been drinking on the 3rd?
Yes, I was drinking a little bit. It was New Year's, so, yeah.
No, the 3rd is not New Year's.
Yeah.
New Year's is December 31st. The 3rd is not New Year's. On the 3rd of January, had you been drinking?
Yes.
What were you drinking? The Remy?
Yeah.
And then you wanted to take the baby home?
Yes, so.
And she said no.
She didn't want me to take my baby home. I said, well, can I stay here? She didn't want me to stay at her house. She's like, oh, I'll take care of her. She's like, don't worry about it. Go home and relax. She's like, because, you're a new mom and you do need a break, and Thomas is nowhere around to be found. He hasn't called or
keep going.
anything.
Come on, move it.
So anyway, so I go home. She drops me off at home. My mom asks, where's the baby? So I said, oh, Lisa's taking care of her. She says, oh, really? So I said, would you like to call her? So she calls her, and Lisa gets on the phone and said, oh, well, do you want me to call CPS? And there's no reason to involve CPS for anything. I don't know why she said that. So we go pick up my daughter, and she doesn't know that I'm coming to pick up my daughter. I go in the house, and when I go in her bedroom, she's shocked to see me.
Who let you in?
Her husband let me in. So when I busted in the room, she was sitting with my baby. My baby was stuffed in her chest. She had a pillow behind her back, and she was sitting cross-legged. She said, what are you doing here? I said, give me my baby, Lisa. She snatched the baby. She said, no. I said, what do you mean? I can't have my baby? She said, no, do you want me to call CPS? I said, for what? Why are you going to call CPS for? So she refuses to give me my daughter. So I have to call my mom to tell my mom to come in the house saying she's not giving me my baby. So then she decides.
How did you get there?
My mom gave me a ride.
You mean your mother gave you a ride and then just dropped you off?
No, she was waiting outside for me.
Okay, go ahead.
So then she decides finally to give me my daughter. So my mom comes in the house, and I'm like, Mom, she's not letting me leave with my baby. She says, oh, no, don't let them leave. She was telling Katie and everybody in the house, don't let her leave, don't let her leave. So they block all possible entries so me and my mom cannot get out with my daughter. My baby started crying. My mom was holding the baby. So my mom said, oh, do you have a bottle so I could feed my granddaughter? Lisa's like, no, let me feed her. She tries to go to my mom and tries to tear my baby out of my mom's arms. So that's when I gave me to her. I'm like, what are you doing? No. So she comes back to me, grabs me by my jacket, and slams me all the way against the wall. Then she grabs me and slams me all the way down on the bathroom floor and starts choking me. It took 3 people to try to get her off of me. Her husband was in the kitchen, finally decides to get up to come get her off of me. And then she's still trying to fight. She's still trying to come attack me. And then when the police comes, she tells them that I attacked her, which was wrong.
Okay, Miss West, now I'll hear you.
Well, it started January the 1st. My niece and my daughter comes home with Rachel. My niece Katie tells me that Rachel called my daughter Caroline to pick her up from this hotel on West MacArthur.
Katie, stand up. Tell me what you saw when you got to the hotel.
Okay, Rachel was drinking with some guy, and the baby was just crying, and it just seemed like the baby...
How did you get... Who had you heard from that caused you to go to the hotel?
My cousin.
Who were you in the hotel with?
I was with my friend. He was helping me.
What's his name?
His name is Jose.
And what were you drinking with Jose?
I'm drinking some Remy.
Go ahead.
Anyway, I took the baby from Rachel because she was crying. I rubbed her stomach. It seemed like she had colic. And I said, Rachel, do you burp your baby after you feed her? Rachel said, no, this is my first child. I really don't know what I'm doing. I said, you know what, Rachel, this don't make no sense. Give me this baby. Me and my cousins take the baby. We go get the baby some medication. Rachel is not even coherent enough to give her baby the medication.
Your Honor.
Put your hands down. I don't think you're adorable. I don't think you're cute. I'm going to hear from your mother because, quite frankly, unless your mother is totally together, I'm calling CPS on you. You understand that?
Yes.
You understand why?
Why?
Remy. Stand up. Who has legal custody of this child?
Rachel.
Well, that better change. That better change. She is in no position to have legal custody of this child. And unless somebody who's responsible has custody of this child, Child Protective Services is going to take the child and give the child to a stranger. Maybe to Miss West. Who knows? Your daughter is acting irresponsibly. Don't you understand that?
I do understand, but I do not understand the reason why Miss West had to assault her. That I don't understand.
Listen to me. I don't understand why you would allow your daughter, who was intoxicated, which she clearly was on the 3rd of January, to go back to Miss West's house and tell her to go inside and take the baby. If you felt as if you didn't want Miss West and you wanted the baby to come home with you, then you go inside, and maybe you could have had a civilized discussion with Miss West. Instead, you send her inside, and she has no brain. I mean, didn't you hear what she said? This lady is telling me the truth. She went to a motel, found your daughter in a motel with your granddaughter crying, and she's sitting with some jerk drinking Remy.
No, Your Honor, my daughter was crying because I didn't know what was going on. I was holding my baby, Your Honor.
Because you didn't know that you needed to burp her.
Just a second. You didn't know what year it was,
I was
madam.
burping my daughter, Your Honor.
What were you doing in a motel with a guy drinking Remy?
Because I was expecting to see if the father would call me on New Year's to come by. That's why I got the hotel room. I was with my friend. He was helping me take care of my baby instead of the father.
He was helping you by sitting with you in a motel drinking?
He was holding her, helping me, trying to calm her down too, Your Honor.
What's your last name?
Jimenez.
Miss Jimenez, do you get it? She is incapable of taking care of a child.
I'm not incapable.
Incapable.
My daughter's well taken care of.
She has no judgment. Zero judgment. And this baby is going to get hurt. Did you just hear what she said to me, Miss Jimenez? She said she took a motel room, hoping that the baby's father would call her on New Year's Eve. And later, she's still in the motel room with Jose, drinking Remy with the baby. Do you get it? You're shaking your head. The only reason you're off the hook is that there's not enough room for you up there.
Ma'am, she
Because
took
when
my
you make
child from me.
Because when you make a baby, you're supposed to be able to take care of a baby.
And I was. And I provided a roof over her head till she decided to take my baby and leave without everything.
Then you go to court.
And that's what I'm doing,
He hasn't
ma'am.
been doing
Good.
anything.
Then you go to court. What?
When I took her to pick the baby, she was not drunk.
She had been drinking all day. She said she had been drinking all day.
I wasn't drinking all day. That's when I was drinking during the daytime, Your Honor. Then I wanted to go home with my daughter. She told me I could stay at her house, but then refused for me not to stay at her house.
I heard you. Did you know where your daughter was on January 1st with the baby in the motel? Just answer my question. Did you know where your daughter was on January 1st in the motel?
Yes.
And you
But not in the motel, Your Honor. She was at home.
She was in a motel with Jose.
Then she went there because she
So
wanted
I'm asking you, listen, I'm asking you, did you know that she was in a motel with Jose?
I did not know until afterwards.
That's what I want to know. Does it surprise you to know she was in a motel with Jose drinking?
I was surprised to know that she was
all
there.
I want. That's all I want to know. So far, maybe there's a light at the end of your tunnel. Maybe.
Your Honor, I'm a very good mom. I'm a very good mom. My daughter does not want for anything. She's well taken care of.
Listen
That
to
was
me.
just that
Miss
one
West,
night.
Did you call CPS?
Yes, I did.
Did they do an investigation?
The person that was doing the investigation got sick, and I called and talked to the person that took over the case. They've been trying to contact and locate Rachel, which they have been unsuccessfully at.
Is she living in your house?
Yes.
Did she sleep at your house last week? Listen, Miss Jimenez, you answer my question.
Yes.
Did she sleep at your house every night last week?
Yes.
I don't believe you.
You don't believe her?
I don't believe you.
I'm at my house every single day, Your Honor.
Okay. I'm not comfortable. So we're going to send this to Child Protective Services just to be on the safe side, because I'm not hearing any reasoned response by this lady to her daughter's behavior. Drunk people don't take care of children. People who drink don't take care of children. They leave them with other responsible people. And if they don't leave them with other responsible people, then they're neglectful.
I am not neglectful for that one day, Your Honor. I don't drink every single day.
Well, listen to me, my dear.
But
I'm speaking to you. According to you, I only asked you about 3 days, January 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And according to your testimony, you drank on January 1st, January 2nd, January 3rd. That's according to you. You say that she assaulted you?
Yes.
Tell me what she did.
First of all, we all decided on January the 2nd that Rachel was still under the influence of alcohol and other substance abuse. We all decided that Rachel needed a little bit more time to get herself together. Therefore, my husband and I told Rachel we'd be more than happy to watch her until she get herself together.
You watch the baby?
The child, yes. So Rachel said, but I want to stay. I said, well, Rachel, you can't stay because I don't have enough room to house you. So my husband and I drove her home. So that was that. So my husband and I proceeded back home, got home. Then she had called and said, I want to come and get my baby. I said, let me speak to your mother. So her mother got on the phone. I said, well, the baby is fine. I said, she's asleep, and David and I, which is my husband, is going to take care of the child. Then the mother said, no, the baby needs to be home with Rachel.
No,
Rachel needs to take care of her own baby. But I said, but Rachel's not in any condition at this time. I said, you really need to pay attention to your daughter. I said, take this time to really analyze your daughter. She said, well, it's nothing wrong with her. I said to myself, well, she's a fool. I said, Rachel is on drugs. I just came out and told the mother. The mother said, oh, that's what you say. Then she hung up the phone.
Okay, there came a time that she came back to your house. Her mother brought her there. Now I want to skip to that point.
Okay, when Rachel came to my house, I was in my bedroom. The baby was asleep, and Rachel came in there. I want my baby. I said, Rachel, I've made it perfectly clear you're not in any conditions to see to this child. I said, you've been drinking for the last 3 days, and you've been smoking weed, crystal, what they call mushrooms. I said, you really need to just calm down, you know, get yourself together. She said, no, give me my baby, give me my baby. I said, Rachel, I can't give you your baby. I said, anyway, how did you get here? She said, my mother brought me. I said, well, I need to talk to your mother then. So I told my husband, David, to go out there and see was her mother actually out there. Then Rachel would say, no, just give me my baby, just give me my baby. I said, Rachel, I'm here to help you. I don't want to call the police and report you to CPS. I said, you're not leaving me any alternative. At that point, her mother came in. Then I gave her the baby. Then I talked to her mother, Tina. I said, Rachel is not in any condition to provide for this child. But if you tell me that you're going to take care of this baby and be solely responsible for this child, I can get a child to you. Then she said, well, that's Rachel's responsibility. I'll help her. I said, oh, no. I said, you're going to tell me you're going to help her? I said, she can't help herself at this time. So mother said, I'm leaving, we leaving. Then I said, no, you have to wait for the police. So Rachel was behind me. And she said, no, get away from my baby. Get away from, I'm taking my baby. bopped me upside the head.
She's lying, Your Honor.
I don't want to hear you.
So I said, you have to stay for the police. So then she bopped me again. I said, now wait a minute, are you fighting? And then she just took off, and I said, I just had gasket bypass surgery. I'm not strong. And she just commenced on, so, hey, I'm going to defend my stomach and everything.
Gotcha. Gotcha. You know what a hair follicle test is?
What's that? Oh, they pick the hair?
Yeah. We take a piece of your hair, and the hair will tell us whether, in the past year, you have used any drugs, and if you've used alcohol, how much. You prepared to take a hair follicle test?
I feel that there's no reason to
You
take
prepared? My question is, that requires a yes or a no answer. You say that you did not use drugs, and you don't have an alcohol problem. So my question to you is, are you prepared to take a hair follicle test that requires a yes or a no answer?
No, I'm not going to take a hair
follicle
test. For what?
Correct.
I'm here for the fact that this woman assaulted me.
I don't
She's
believe
lying.
she assaulted you.
She did assault me, Your Honor. This woman is lying through her teeth, Your Honor.
Miss Cooper, now your mother knows. If I said to you, Miss Jimenez, I have serious questions as to whether or not you abuse drugs, and I can find that out very easily. Are you prepared to give us a strand of hair so we can do a hair follicle test? What would you say to me?
Yes.
Of course. What did your daughter say to me?
She said no.
Do you know why? I've been in this business for 40 years. I know why.
But Your
Copy
Honor...
of that. Shh, I'm speaking. Copy of this case will be sent to Child Protective Services. Your lawsuit is dismissed. So's your counterclaim. You would not have filed this counterclaim unless you filed the lawsuit, correct?
Correct.
We'll take care of what you wanted to do, which is at least try to have this baby protected. Child Protective Services will do a follow-up now that she's declined to take a test. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand? Now, I don't know what you do, but you got to get more together and you got to get involved. It's not up to her to take over your responsibility.
I ain't seen
That's
my
all.
baby.
She doesn't take care of his child.
She took my baby.
Oh, whatever.
19-year-old Jennifer Smith is suing her ex-fiancé, 23-year-old James MacArthur, for destroying her property, throwing her engagement ring in a lake, and slander.
Miss Smith, you and Mr. MacArthur were engaged to be married. It didn't work out. And it is your claim that after you broke up, Mr. MacArthur took some of your property, vandalized some of your property, and then posted some very negative things about you on the internet, which you view as slanderous, and you want to be compensated for that. Mr. MacArthur says the only thing that he took back was the engagement ring. As far as destroying your property, he did not do that. And as far as placing items on the internet, he says he never mentioned you by name on any website. How long were you engaged, Mr. MacArthur?
We were engaged for about 2 years.
Did she break up with you, or did you break up with her?
She wanted to take time apart, and I told her I did not want that.
Okay, so she wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably a good idea that you didn't get married.
Yeah.
If somebody's not sure, it's better off to figure it out now than later, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Smith, what items do you claim that Mr. MacArthur stole from you?
He has several of my CDs. He took my engagement ring. I was later informed that that was thrown into a lake.
Well, the engagement ring he's entitled to take back.
It was a birthday present. It was given to me as a birthday present. It was given to me on my birthday as an engagement
your
ring.
engagement ring was given to you on your birthday.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, he's entitled to it back.
It was given as a birthday gift, though.
Listen to, watch me. He asked you to marry him and gave you a ring on your birthday. It was an engagement ring. Did you show it to people as an engagement ring?
Yes.
Did you say to them, this is my engagement ring?
It was.
Did you say to them, this is my engagement ring?
Yes.
You didn't say, this is my birthday present. You got my drift, Miss Smith.
Yes.
If you broke off the engagement, it means the marriage never took place. He's entitled to the ring back. And if he wants to throw it in the lake, he can throw it in the lake. And if he wants to throw it down a sewer, he can do that too. Okay? See how fair I am?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you have any of her CDs, Mr. MacArthur?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
I'm not getting myself totally exercised over the CDs. People who were engaged for 2 years, if all they're fighting about is CDs, that means they're not very mature.
I also have CDs that he returned to me that were destroyed when I picked them up.
I'd like to see those.
This is only the ones that were returned to me. That's not the ones that he still has possession of. Some of those are expensive CDs. Some of the CDs that he still has are very expensive.
I don't know what you mean they're destroyed. I have no idea what that means.
If you look at all of them, each of them has a gouge going from the center to the outside. They're completely destroyed. There's absolutely no way of
Well, this one. Yeah, this one is
fixing
too.
those.
How did that happen, Mr. MacArthur?
I don't know, Your Honor. Her CDs sat in my trunk. I use my car for work, so I have tools coming in and out of my car every day. I don't
Your
pay
Honor,
attention.
my CDs were in a CD case.
Yeah, Mr. MacArthur. That looks like somebody purposely did that.
And it's
there.
not, it's identical.
Shh. You know how fair I am. This looks like somebody purposely did that. But doesn't that look to you as if somebody did that with a something?
Yeah, by all means.
You know what I mean, Mr. MacArthur?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, I don't think she would do that to her own CDs, because that would be stupid, especially since she broke up with you. But it would seem to me that you were pretty angry. So I have to put 1 and 1 together. That makes you. All right. So now you have these destroyed CDs, which I am placing squarely at the foot of him.
That doesn't include the ones that he still has.
I just answered your question about that 2 minutes ago. What part of I don't care don't you understand? There's no excuse for him vandalizing your property.
What's the excuse for him posting vulgar, slanderous stuff on the
Well,
internet?
that I want to see. There's no excuse for it. There's a reason that he might have done it, but that doesn't mean that there's an excuse.
He says that he never did it, although he called my house and he called my mother at her work.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me what he told your mother unless your mother is here. Is this what you're telling me, Jeanette?
Yes, it is. I was told to read that.
He doesn't mention your name here.
No, but it says to my ex, you know who you are, and I was told that
Don't tell me what you were
to
told.
read it.
Listen to me. Don't tell me what you were told. That's hearsay.
And I
listen to me. He says, as far as his ex is concerned, one day the sun will die and the night will crawl. Until then, until I see your world implode, I wish you death and suffering, misery to spare. To my ex, you know who you are. Right?
I called him right after I read that, and I said, what is this about? He said, oh, I didn't mean to hurt you. I said, you wrote that, yet you didn't mean to. How could that not hurt me?
Ms. Smith, you have to understand what slander is. Slander is something that you say that is not true about somebody in a way that they can be identified. For instance, if he said, my ex, Jennifer Smith, has the following diseases, so everybody better stay away from her, and that's not true, then you can sue him for slander. I'm speaking, you're not listening. That's slander. If he wrote you a letter, and in the letter said to you, I wish you had a slow, painful death, and I was there to watch. I wish you suffer and get a vile disease. And he wrote that to you in a letter. That's not slander. That's the way he feels. That's protected speech. If you wrote this, I assume you did. He's entitled to do that.
It is slanderous, though, because at the top of it, it says, I just left someone who did nothing but use me for my money, and when she was done, she went and found someone new to do the same to them. My current boyfriend was hesitant about even talking to me because of that, because he assumed that because he stated it, that...
Listen to me. Who showed your boyfriend this?
I did.
Listen, I would like to... Listen to me. I want you to kiss the ground. You got the ring back, and that you're moving on with your life because she's not wrapped too tight. You got it? Good. But you can't scratch her CDs because that's childish. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
That you got to give her $150 for. The rest of your stuff is nonsense. What'd you do with the ring, by the way?
Throw it in a lake.
Attaboy.
Maggie O'Miller claims Teresa Chaidez is in possession of a ring belonging to her. Teresa is countersuing, claiming Maggie embarrassed her at her place of business.
Miss O'Miller, it is your claim that the defendants are in possession of a ring that is yours.
That's right, Your Honor.
And it is a ring that left your possession at some point. You don't know how, you don't know when, but you saw Miss Chaidez?
Chaidez, yeah.
Chaidez wearing the ring in a store. She was employed in the store. You looked at the ring, and since you say it was a unique ring made for you, you were sure that it was yours. You told her it was yours. You went and got the police. They came back. She said her boyfriend or fiancé had given her the ring several years before. This is the fiancé, Mr. Tapia, who says that he purchased the ring, that he paid $1,000 for it, and you want your ring back or money.
I want the ring.
When did you have the ring made?
In 1991.
By whom?
by Creations in Gold up in Seattle, Washington, and this is the jeweler and her husband that made my ring.
Well, who made the ring? This lady or her husband?
Her husband, and he's since deceased.
All right. Did you work with him?
Yes, we had a store together.
Were you the designer or was he the designer?
I was the designer mostly. He did the fabrication.
Stand up. Did you personally do it or did your husband do it?
We both did.
And you remember this particular ring 15 years later?
Yes, I do.
Where did you get the model from for the ring?
It was our design. My husband made
Can I see the ring, please?
Ring for me first.
What do you mean he made it for you first?
A ring like it.
Just a second. He made a ring for you like this first?
Yes.
And then he made another one for Miss O'Miller?
Yes.
Was she a friend of yours?
We met in a restaurant and she approached me and said, "May I look at your ring?" And I said, "Yes." And then she asked, I said, "My husband and I have the store." And then she came to the store.
Where's the one that your husband made for you?
Right here.
Let me see it.
Yes.
Do you want another one that he made? These were made together at the same time.
I just want to see the one that he made for her. Okay. Well, these are practically identical.
Yes.
Except the gold is different. Yours is heavier. One that she says is hers is lighter. Practically identical. And your husband, did he surprise you with this? Is my question. Did your husband surprise you with this ring?
Yes, he did.
So that you are not telling me the truth. What's your last name?
Grenzner.
You are not telling me the truth when you say that you designed it with him. Because these rings are practically identical. And if what you're telling me is that your husband surprised you...
Surprised me?
Listen to me. Surprised you with your ring, that means that you didn't design it. That means he designed it.
We designed it, but he surprised me, and I got the ring for Christmas. Yes, he surprised me with the ring, but not with the design. That is the truth.
Madam, that's a lot of double talk.
No.
If your husband surprised you with the ring, that means that he designed it and gave it to you as a surprise. A husband doesn't say, "I want to surprise you with a ring. Let's sit down and you design it, and then it's going to be a surprise." Husband says, "I'm going to surprise my wife for Christmas and give her a ring," which he designed. And then when she came in and wanted a ring similar to yours, two of you may have gotten together and say, "Well, we can make a ring very similar to mine. It's not exactly the same because this is more weight. This is less weight than yours." You understand that. But you did not design it. Sit down.
Can I show you one that he designed to go with that ring?
No, it's not necessary.
Okay.
Not necessary. There's nothing unique about this ring. You've been around jewelry as long as I've been around jewelry. This is, may not be exactly the same, but it's not unique. Now, when was the last time, Miss O'Miller, when was it that you actually saw your ring that either is this ring or is similar to this ring?
Approximately about 3 years ago.
Where did you see it 3 years ago?
In my home.
When did you first miss your ring?
Probably about a week after I'd moved.
Which was when?
3 years ago.
Do you have a police report?
I never made a police report because I didn't know at the time it was lost or stolen. I just thought I'd misplaced it, so I didn't call.
Well, maybe you lost it. Is that possible?
Possible.
Did you have a moving company move you?
It was a small moving company that had moved.
So the answer is that you had a moving company move you.
Right.
So 3 years ago you did not make a report of any stolen property.
Correct.
So you did nothing.
Nope.
Now, where did you buy this ring, Mr. Tapia?
In Indio, California.
Where?
At a pawn shop.
Had you ever been to that pawn shop before?
No, it was my first time there.
Do you remember who you dealt with there?
No, I just remember taking my grandmother with me, and it was $1,000, so I asked her to loan me $500 of it.
You gave him $500?
Yes, I loaned him $500.
Did he ever pay you back?
Yes, he paid me $100 a month for 5 months.
Okay. So?
So I believe that's my ring. I could tell by the flat back. That was one of his trademarks. It's like the one I have now.
Miss O'Miller, this is a legal issue. If I believe Mr. Tapia that he purchased this ring at a store for $1,000, he becomes what we call in the law a purchaser in due course for value, which means this ring is probably worth no more than $1,000. It has very tiny stones. It doesn't have the, I don't know how much you paid for it.
$3,000.
Well, you overpaid. You can give this back to her. Let us say you lost the ring. Let us say somebody else found the ring and brought it to the pawn shop. In commerce, there's a rationale behind this rule. In commerce, unless you're dealing with a car or a boat or a house, which has to be in writing, if you purchase something and if you purchase it for value, you get the title to it. Now, if Mr. Tapia bought this ring on the street for $50, then he is not a purchaser in due course for value. Then he is on notice that this may be a stolen ring, because nobody sells a ring that's worth $1,000 for $50 unless it's stolen goods. But I believe him, and I believe his grandmother, that they paid $1,000 for this ring. That doesn't mean you get it back.
First of all, his name was not Topia when I was going through all this. His name was Estrada. Then I got a phone call from a man claiming to be a lawyer representing Mr. Estrada. The man that subpoenaed these people with their warrants talked to the lawyer that he's...
Just what kind of warrants? What are you talking about, warrants?
Well, you know, when you go and form... How do I say it?
You went to her place of business where she works as a salesperson. You saw the ring. You said, let me see the ring. She showed you the ring. You said, where did you get it? She said, my boyfriend gave it to me. It's an engagement ring. You said, I have a ring like that. I think it's mine. She said, no, it's mine. You left. You went to the police. You brought the police back to her place of employment because that's her counterclaim, that you embarrassed her. Okay, so now we're at a point where you brought the police back to her place of employment and you said, that's my ring, and it must have been stolen. Is that what you said?
No.
What did you say?
I went home, called the police, and said I saw my ring on her finger at Mathis Brothers. Okay. The police lady said, he'll meet you in 15 minutes over at Mathis Brothers.
So then you went to Mathis Brothers, and she was there, and she said, it's my ring.
Can I say something? The officer did say it was stolen, that she said it was stolen. But in front of me, she said it was lost.
So far, I haven't heard any libel, slander, or defamation. She didn't accuse you of stealing it.
Well, when she brought the cops...
You were embarrassed.
I was embarrassed.
You were embarrassed, but that, you know, that's unfortunate. But she's entitled to do that. She said, it's my property. I want it back. Okay, so...
Then I talked to him, and he said, well, for $1,000. He said, it's probably your ring, and for $1,000 you could have it back. And I said, why should I buy something back that's mine, that I feel is mine?
Is that what you said to her?
No, I said that I bought the ring for $1,000, and if she wanted it, she'd have to pay me $1,000, which what I paid.
Is that what he said to you? Well, that's different from what you just told me, Miss O'Miller.
What did I just say that's so different?
You can have it back for $1,000. That's different from saying I paid $1,000 for it, and if you say it's yours, I'm willing to give it back to you, but you have to pay me what I paid for it. That's different. One has a positive connotation, and one has a negative connotation.
I can see how you said it just then, yes, I can.
No, see how you said it.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
I'd like to know why all of a sudden his name became Mr. Topeka.
I don't know. I have a very long name myself. Judith, Blum, Levy, Scheindlin. My name is very, very long. That has nothing to do with the fact that you lost your ring 3 years ago, and you can't have it back. This may be your ring. It may not be your ring. Why in the world would I ascribe to these people any kind of criminal behavior 3 years away? Now, if you told me that he was one of the people who moved your property from one place to another, I would say, aha, a light would go off in my head. Did you work for the moving company that moved her?
Never have in my life.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Well, you can't go around, you know, accusing people of having property, stolen property, and believing that it's stolen. Return this, please. Miss Shades?
Shades, yes.
Yes, it's yours. Miss O'Miller, sad that you lost your ring. I would have felt much better about it if you had reported it to the police stolen. You did nothing. And who knows what happened to it in 3 years? It may have fallen in a truck, and 2 months later, somebody found it in the truck and said, I don't even know where this came from. Said, I'm going to sell it, and I'm going to sell it to a pawn shop and see what they give me for it. He sees it. He goes with his grandmother. He says, I only have $500. Can you lend me the other $500? I believe his grandmother when she said that he paid her back. You don't get your ring back, Miss O'Miller. She also doesn't have to pay you for embarrassing you in the store. She didn't accuse you of stealing it.
Well, when the officer came, he said that, you know, it was stolen. And, I mean, I felt embarrassed when he comes into my job and, you know,
you don't
she
get
made me lose time off of work. And she also had my address with, I don't know how she got my new address. I just moved into a new house. I feel like she's stalking me.
She's not stalking you anymore.
She has.
She's not stalking you anymore. She is entitled to sue you. Listen to me carefully. She's entitled to sue you. She had a good faith basis to believe that this was her property. And quite frankly, unless you could establish to my satisfaction, which you have, that you were a holder in due course for value, which means you paid value for this ring, I might have returned it to her if I believed it was hers to begin with. But I believe that you purchased it, and I believe you purchased it in good faith with your grandmother. I believe you paid value for it, and therefore the title is clear, is in your name. Do we all understand that? Good. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Anita Mendelsohn claims her son's former friend, Christian Luna, slandered her on the internet. Christian says he has the right to free speech.
Miss Mendelsohn, this is your son.
Yes, Your Honor.
According to your complaint, your son and the defendant and some other boys, maybe some of these boys here, were friends.
Yes, they used to.
Well, you say that they didn't treat him nicely and they used him for rides and stuff when they needed him.
Right, Your Honor.
But at some point, according to you, this young man posted some very, very rude things about you.
Right, Your Honor.
On something called MySpace.
Right, Your Honor.
MySpace is one of these internet sites where people who have nothing better to do with their time go and chat about a whole bunch of nonsense.
Right, Your Honor.
Is that about what it is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that about right?
Right.
That's about right.
You know, I always said that we could eliminate probably a third of the problems in this country if people actually had to shovel coal in a furnace for heat rather than spending all that spare time that they have making problems for other people and sitting behind their computers doing things other than for which computers were originally designed. Mr. Luna says, First Amendment. I can post anything I like on the internet because there's free speech in this country. That is your defense.
Yes, Your Honor.
Really?
Yes.
Is that what you think the Constitution says, Mr. Luna?
Well, first of all...
I didn't ask you first of all. That required a yes or a no answer, sir. Is that what you think the Constitution says? That you can say anything you want to about anybody?
On certain grounds, yes. But I believe that I didn't write anything that really damaged her reputation as she claimed.
All right. Well, then let's see what you said, because I had no clue about what you said here. First, Mr. Luna, since there is no issue, sir, that you posted these things about Mrs. Mendelsohn on this internet site, I'd like to know why you did it.
Okay. Well, it all started when myself...
Is the same person, I assume, unless you're bipolar.
Me and my friends were talking just online, just joking while we were waiting for our classes. And then we just talked about certain stupid things, I know. And then... You
talked about stupid things while you were waiting for change of classes in college?
Yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, we were online.
Who's paying for your school?
My father.
Your father's paying for you to be in school and talk about stupid things with your friends in between classes? Is that what you think you're paying for, sir?
Not really.
Good, perfect. Love to hear it. You and I are going to get along just fine. Go ahead.
Well, we were just waiting for our classes because I
don't care why you were waiting for your classes. I asked you why you said bad things about Mrs. Mendelsohn.
Well, it was just to relieve our stress and frustrations.
Why don't you get a job?
Well, I had school. I'm a full-time college student.
Well, then why are you writing about Mrs. Mendelsohn to relieve your stress?
Because beforehand, she was making comments about us, me and my friends, specifically.
Oh, on the internet?
No, like to her son.
So she was having a private conversation with her son about you and your friends?
Yes, and then...
She's allowed to do that?
Yes, but it was very rude and very untrue. And she assumed many things, and she would tell him...
Who cares? Who cares what she assumed? She's having a private conversation with a child. She's not publishing anything. Let me see what you wrote about her.
I have it right here.
Did your father see it?
Yes.
When did you show it to him?
About a month ago.
When did you write it?
October 26th.
So why did you wait so long to show your father?
Well, because number one, I was trying to handle my own business. And then the month after October 26th, I actually forgot about the conversation, because that is a conversation between me and Derek.
You know what I find most distressing about this, Mr. Luna? Is that you're illiterate, and so is your friend. And that your family is wasting a whole lot of money sending you to college and getting an illiterate person at the end. Mr. Luna?
Can I say something,
Mr. Luna, did you read this?
Yes, Your Honor. I read it lately, Your Honor.
Stand up, sir.
May I say something about the case, Your Honor?
No, you may say nothing about the case, sir. You may answer my questions. First of all, Mrs. Mendelsohn, I have just read this.
Yes.
Okay? This is not actionable, which means that you can sue, but you're not going to win. what is written here, if I can read it,
Yes,
because
Your Honor.
it looks like it's written by somebody who was educated in some third world country where they only go up to kindergarten. Watch what W-A-T, you say about her, cuz, C-U-Z. She might come to your house, Y-R, and do crazy, and that's a bad word, I'll leave that out, like castrating you and sewing I'll use a different word, testicles back on backwards and sewing your foot and you with it. Okay? It's stupid. Do you know what? That's what you're complaining about, right?
Yes,
Listen
Your
to me.
Honor.
Listen to me. I didn't know what he had said about you. What he said about you was stupid. Nobody takes it seriously. Nobody's thinking you're going to come to somebody's house and you're going to do that to them. He's just being stupid. So it doesn't even amount to free speech. It amounts to the rantings of some juvenile who's just being dumb. Do you understand?
Yeah. And I was really upset because...
Well, I can understand you were upset, but
I'm
that's
not
not
an immoral
actionable. Now,
person.
was this young man your friend, Mr. Luna?
Yes, we were very close.
You say some bad things about him.
Well, it was jokingly.
Well, it's not an answer, sir. You say if you were very, very close. Why do you say bad things about him in here?
It's friendly banter between us. That's what we do.
Who was bantering here? Not him.
Well, it's between me and...
No. Between you and him. You weren't bantering with each other, calling each other funky names. You were bantering with him, and you were making fun of him. Mr. Luna, that makes you not a very nice person when you say he was a friend of mine.
Yes, but all of us are friends. We do the same things to each other. But
Does he have a car?
Yes.
Do you have a car?
No.
Who drove you around?
Well, sometimes Irving drives me around, sometimes my friend Manuel or Derek recently. But it's not like I'm...
It's not like you're using him or anything.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Mr. Luna, your son did a disrespectful thing, but not actionable. So you don't have to worry. He doesn't have to pay Mrs. Mendelson any money. I don't know if he's a nice young man or not a nice young man. Only you know that.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Yes.
He's a nice young man. In fact, he helped Irving in his religion class, and he's kind of mentoring this guy. I mean, they were friends, Your Honor, and it all started...
Did you read this?
Yeah, I know. I read it. But it all started when Mrs. Mendelson tried to blame my son and his friends that they are using drugs.
Yes.
And she's trying to, separate his son from these guys who are nice people. I just don't know why Mrs. Mendelson is so mad at my son.
Maybe you want to tell me, Mrs. Mendelson?
The truth, Your Honor, is that I never said that they're using drugs. It was a lie. What I told my son is that because I saw a lot of this abuse from Christian sending all those messages against him, and I told my son, stop giving him a ride and transfer to other school. And I didn't mention anything about drugs. You're wrong.
Who told you that Mrs. Mendelson accused you of using drugs?
Her son.
He told you?
Yes.
Irving, stand up next to your mother. Did you ever tell this young man that your mother accused him of using drugs?
Not exactly.
What do you mean, not exactly, Irving?
Well, she said that she doesn't want me hanging around people who do drugs.
Okay, so?
And in that sense, that's what I said to Christian.
But she never accused Christian of doing drugs?
No.
No. That's your answer, Mr. Luna. What else?
I would just like to clear something out. I didn't use Irving to give me rides. I don't just randomly call him and like, oh, can you give me a ride to this so-and-so place? I would ask him a ride if we were going there together. But I've never used them just
Christian, I want you to listen to me very carefully.
Okay.
Having access to a machine like a computer and access to a place like MySpace where you can say very damaging and hurtful things doesn't mean that you should use it. When you write something like this, even though it sounds asinine, juvenile, and stupid, it was still hurtful to Mrs. Mendelson. It's not the kind of thing that the courts will take action about, but it's the kind of things that you shouldn't write about one person because it's just unkind. And you can't hide behind the cloak of anonymity when you do that because it's out there for millions and millions and millions of people to read. And it's hurtful. And I say this to you and to your friends and to you and anybody else who uses the internet. Once you put something down and go send or whatever you do, because I don't use that machine, it's out there and it's out there forever and it's hurtful. You have to be careful. That about her was unkind.
I know that, Your Honor.
Very good. Then you tell him he did the wrong thing? Tell him to apologize to her?
In fact,
say, shh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Mendelson.
Okay.
That's it.
Just don't do it again, ever.
Thank you. That's all. Thank you.
17 Love says fellow schoolmate, 17-year-old Alex Kinsel, damaged her car when he jumped through the sunroof. Tiffany says Alex was attempting to assault her boyfriend.
Are you Miss Janikowski?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is your son?
Yes.
Whose name is?
Alex Kinsel.
Alex?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Good. Did you give him a good poke?
Yes, I did.
Perfect. I saw that. It was subtle, but he got it. I'm impressed. Alex,
Yes, ma'am.
I do want you to understand that this is going to be an unpleasant morning for you.
Okay.
Your mother is aware of that, but I'm sure that lately you've had a couple of unpleasant moments with your mother, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You weren't there?
No, ma'am.
And you weren't there?
No, ma'am.
So why don't you have a seat? You're just the question really of liability, and in your case, a question of ownership of the car that was allegedly damaged by Alex.
Yes, ma'am.
When he decided to assault your boyfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
This young man,
Yes.
I assume?
Yes.
The only problem was your boyfriend was sitting in your car.
Yes.
And your car had a sunroof.
Yes.
So Alex, in order to get to,
Tyler.
climbed up on the,
I jumped into the sunroof. I didn't climb.
jumped from the pavement
Yes.
into the sunroof.
Yes, ma'am.
Sort of like Spider-Man. Faster than a speeding bullet, right? Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
You're kind of mixing out
Is-
heroes, but that's it.
That's one of them.
Yeah,
Superman,
yeah.
Spider-Man. So you were able to do that, right?
Yes, ma'am. When you're mad and the adrenaline's rushing, sometimes you do things you don't expect you can do.
So now you want him to pay for the damage that he allegedly caused to your car, right? Alex says through his mother that he's very sorry for assaulting Tyler, which he freely admitted in juvenile court, and he was placed on probation.
Yes.
So he's paying for that crime, and he's sorry he did that, but he didn't damage the car
No, ma'am.
because, like Superman, he was able to bound from the sidewalk through the sunroof to get to Tyler without ever touching the car. Right? So now, Alex, what?
I'm sorry.
What?
Just picturing it.
I want you to, I tried to draw a word picture to you to get you interested in what's going
I'm
on.
very interested.
Good. So, why don't you tell me why you decided to assault Tyler?
Almost a year ago, my friend Kevin was killed, Kevin Farrell. And it was due to the fact that Tyler had robbed someone and placed the blame on Kevin.
A year before this happened,
Yes, ma'am.
who killed your friend?
Lee.
Was he ever apprehended for this murder?
He was apprehended and he got criminal confinement and is still in courts right now, I believe.
Or was he convicted?
Of criminal confinement.
Of
They-
criminal confinement? What is criminal confinement? I never heard of that.
When they hold them against their will in a car with weapons.
You know these people?
Unfortunately, yes.
What are they, all these gang people?
No.
Just criminals?
Yes.
Oh, you're terrific. Okay, so according to you, he's responsible for your friend's murder.
Yeah, if it wasn't for him, my friend would still be alive right here now.
Okay, so that's why you were angry with him.
Yes.
Is that why you assaulted him?
That's one of the reasons. They also provoked me
How did they provoke you?
by flicking me off, saying stuff, parking right next to my car the day it happened.
You mean the day that this assault happened?
Yes.
So they parked next to your car. She parked next to your car?
Yes. And she told me that Tyler had hit her that day, and that angered me as well. And he's supposed to be out of school 10 minutes earlier than all the other students, so he's actually trespassing.
Step up here. Why is he supposed to be out 10 minutes earlier?
Because there's so many people after him for the reason what he did.
You have a special schedule at school, Tyler?
Yes, ma'am. For safety precautions, I leave 10 minutes early at the end of the day, and I come 10 minutes late every morning.
And he did not do that. So if he
So
would
for all
follow
of
the
those
rules,
reasons, you decided that you were going to assault him?
yes.
Ma'am, a couple of weeks earlier, he had spit in my face at school also before all this had happened and
Did you
got in
do that?
trouble.
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
It's his fault my friend's dead.
No.
Okay, so if you assaulted him a week or two before, why are you complaining about being flipped off?
It just angers me.
Are you seeing a psychiatrist?
No.
Do you think you should?
No, ma'am.
You should. He should be seeing a psychiatrist regularly. You understand that? You don't believe that? Step up with him, please. He should be in therapy. Intensive
I don't believe
therapy.
so, because once a person's been harassed off and on, a human being can only take so much.
Listen to
and
me.
He was at his breaking
Listen to me.
point.
Did you know that he spit in his face 2 weeks before?
No, I did not.
You see, somebody who's being harassed is usually frightened. So they stay away from the people who are harassing them or threatening them. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do, but when they go to the same high school...
He is the aggressor. When he assaults him, he becomes the aggressor.
I understand.
And that has nothing to do with harassment. He told me that he spit at him 2 weeks before because he believes he's responsible for his friend's murder. Do you understand?
Yes, I do, but Tyler had also off and on since the incident has been harassing Alex.
Listen to me. I'm giving you a friendly word of advice from someone who has been in the juvenile justice system now for almost 30 years.
I know that.
If you don't get him involved in therapy, you're going to be visiting him every other Sunday, and you're going to have to go through a metal detector to do it. I want you to trust me on this. And if you don't, when you look back at your portfolio of photographs of this time in his life, 20 years from now, you're going to say, you know, wouldn't have hurt if I had him talk to somebody and get out all this anger.
Yes, ma'am.
Because his anger has to do with some event that happened a year ago that he hasn't been able to get over. Can I see pictures of the car, please? I see a lot of damage to this car, Alex.
Yes.
Damage to this car that would suggest to me that you were not able to leap over and get onto the sunroof as you indicated you did.
Your Honor, I did not damage the car. I have a witness that was right there and saw the whole thing.
I'm prepared to hear the witness. You may have a seat. Step up.
And she had also...
Shh. Tell me your name.
Vicki Nofel.
Miss Nofel, this happened at the school. What were you doing at the
I
school?
was picking up my daughter after school. My car was parked in front of the car that it involved in the
tell me
incident.
exactly what you saw.
He didn't actually climb on the car. He held onto where the door is and was in the sunroof. There was no hitting, kicking of the vehicle, and there had been damage to the car before.
How do you know that, my dear?
Well, my daughter goes to that school also.
Yes.
And Tiffany had stated to her that she had hit a deer and it had damaged the side of her car.
These are footprints. Deer don't have feet. And I cannot imagine, madam.
I understand.
I cannot imagine the kind of assault that he pled guilty to occurred without his feet touching the car if he's in the sunroof. Could you imagine that? It just doesn't make sense. It defies credulity that he can assault somebody with his fists while poised on top of a car, unless this is a toy car. Is it a toy car?
No.
Without his feet hitting the car. You understand that?
I understand.
Good. Now you can sit down.
Excuse me, Judge Judy.
Yes.
We do have a police report, and there's no mention of any damages in the police report.
I'd like to see the police report. This only has to do with the damage to this young man.
Well, I assume that it should have been in there.
No, it does refer to another number that you didn't get. Can I see an estimate, please, on the car? What year car is this?
A 97.
97 what?
Toyota Avalon.
Did you have it fixed?
We don't have the money to fix it.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Yes.
In court on March 26, 2005, with the juvenile hearing for the attack, Mrs. Borloff was asked if she had any estimates for the damages, and she had said no, she did not, that she just had the car fixed, and she wanted to be reimbursed.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now you can step up. Nope.
And she said she had it fixed by Peterson's Garage in Michigan City.
Is that right? I mean, that's easy for me to call.
She's lying, Judge.
No,
She
I
did
brought
state
that estimate with me.
She did not have that estimate that day in court.
Are you telling me now that you did not have the car fixed?
No, ma'am.
Then why would she state that she did?
You have a copy of those minutes?
I asked for them at our court.
Do you have a copy of the
No,
minutes?
ma'am, I don't.
Oh, okay.
They said they were not available, otherwise I would have had them.
Okay. Whether she had the car fixed or she has the estimate, your son's got to pay for the damage. Stop making excuses for him.
I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to state the facts.
First, you tell me that your son caused no damage, because that's what he told you.
Yes,
and you
ma'am.
brought a witness to tell me that Superman didn't cause any damage when he assaulted Tyler. Then you tell me that it's well because she already had the car fixed, and all she wanted to do was be reimbursed. I'm telling you that you better start thinking about accepting total
I
responsibility
understand that.
for his bad behavior.
But he told me
should
there
not.
was no damages, so.
Well,
Your Honor,
what?
there were tons of people around the car. How I'm not on the side of the car or nothing, you know. I jump into the sunroof. I'm
Too
not
bad.
kicking the
Listen
car.
to me, Alex.
Yes.
Sometimes life isn't fair, my dear, and sometimes stand up on your own 2 feet and take your hands off the table. Sometimes the justice system is not as fair as you would like it to be if you're a criminal.
17-year-old Tiffany Borlov says fellow schoolmate, 17-year-old Alex Kinsel, damaged her car when he jumped through the sunroof. Tiffany says Alex was attempting to assault her boyfriend.
When you're a criminal and you commit certain acts of vandalism and you say, well, I did that, but I didn't do that. Of course, they're going to say, listen, I don't have time to figure this out. You jumped up on her car. Common sense suggests that when you jump up on a car and you assault somebody to the extent that you plead guilty to an assault, so it's a serious assault, and according to you, my adrenaline was flowing so that you're able to do things. That's what you told me. So I was able to do things. You never know what your strength is. I don't have to say to myself, well, maybe a deer caused one of these dents, and maybe you caused one of these dents. It's your fault. You're responsible. I can't find the deer. You're it. You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,700. That's all.
25-year-old Kendra Weber is suing her former roommates, 22-year-old Andrea Gonzalez and her boyfriend, Kyle Evans, for the return of her security deposit and renter's insurance.
Miss Gonzalez, how long were you and Miss Weber friends before you decided to room together?
About 3 years.
When did you sign this lease, Miss Weber?
On November 8th, 2004.
And how many people signed the lease?
Just us two, Andrea and I.
And what was your agreement?
We were to split all of the bills and rent 50-50 two ways.
And this must be Kyle.
That's correct.
Who is Kyle?
Kyle is my boyfriend.
Kyle didn't sign the lease.
No, he did not.
You moved out.
Yes, that's correct.
It is your claim that you moved out because things were made totally untenable with the apartment, and you wanted to move in with your boyfriend.
This is correct.
And you want some of your security deposit back and some renter's insurance.
That's correct.
Several $100s. And Ms. Gonzalez and Mr. Evans say that you're not entitled to it. You moved out and you knew that you were going to forfeit any monies that you put into the apartment. Did you move in November of 2004?
Yes.
When did you move out?
April 30th.
And you had paid your rent up until that time?
Yes, I had.
And for my own information, when did Kyle move in?
It was just about a week or two after we moved in, so still in November of 2004.
And what was the rent on the apartment?
$12.75 for the first 6 months, and after that, $13.75.
And how much were you paying?
The first month I paid half, and then after he moved in, we split it three ways, $4.25 apiece.
And how much security deposit did you put in, Kyle?
I didn't put any in.
Why?
I wasn't on the lease.
Well, you were living there.
For the majority.
So why didn't you pay security deposit?
Because the security deposit was worked out between the defendant and plaintiff.
Are you still living there?
Yes.
You are?
Yes.
How much security deposit did you put in now?
Nothing.
Nothing. Well, now you're going to put in her security deposit, Kyle. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. So you're going to give her $285, and then when you move out, if you keep the place nice and clean, you're going to get your $285 back. Doesn't that sound fair to you?
Yes.
Perfect. See how easy this is? Now let's deal with the renter's insurance. Did you pay the renter's insurance?
I paid half of it, yes.
You paid half. How much did you pay, Kyle?
None.
Why not, Kyle?
Because I wasn't officially living there. I was in
What do you mean
between.
you're not officially living there? You were living there, Kyle, because you were paying a third of the rent after 1 month of them signing the lease. You were officially living there. You're not a moron, are you? You wouldn't pay rent in an apartment where you weren't living, would you?
No, I was helping my girlfriend out.
Well, where else were you paying rent, Kyle?
Nowhere else, but I was also with my mom.
You weren't paying any rent to your mom?
No.
He was not living with his mom.
Just a second. Of course he wasn't living with his mom. He thinks because I'm older than he is, I'm stupid. You think all old people are stupid?
No.
Very good. So, you wouldn't pay rent for a place where you weren't living. What do you do for a living?
Loan setup. I work in the mortgage industry.
And how do you get to work every day?
I drive.
A what?
A car.
In whose name is the car?
That would be in my mom's and my name.
Is it in your mom's name because you're too young to have a car in your name?
No, it's just I needed a cosigner on the car.
Oh, but your mom doesn't drive in the car?
Not usually, no.
It's your car?
For the most part, yes.
And how far does your mom live away from you?
I'd say about 15 miles.
So how long does it take you to drive when you go visit her?
10 minutes.
So she doesn't come on the weekends to take your car, does she?
No, but I visit her on the weekends.
You do?
Yes.
And the rest of the time you live where?
I live most of the time over there. There are nights where I do go over there.
What a moron. All right, listen to me, Kyle. You're going to give Miss Weber $313. $285 of that represents her security deposit, which you have now taken over. Do you understand? When you're neat and clean and tidy and you and your girlfriend decide to move out, you'll get the $285 back. Doesn't that sound fair to you?
There was also damage done.
Speaking. Does that sound fair to you?
Yes.
Then you have renter's insurance. Now, renter's insurance covers any property that may be in the apartment. How much property does she have in the apartment?
At that time or right now?
Now!
None.
How much property do you have in the apartment?
A good amount, I believe.
Good. Then the renter's insurance is going to help you out. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $313. It's been delightful chatting with you. Thank you.
Parties are excused.
David Boudreau says ex-girlfriend Valerie Kassler owes for rent and for stealing money from a shared bank account. Valerie says she was entitled to that money.
Mr. Boudreau, you and Miss Kassler were involved in a relationship, according to what I read in your complaint, for a period of time, and did in fact live together.
Yes, Your Honor.
I believe she moved in with you,
Yes.
and you have children?
Yes, I do.
How many children?
I have a total of 4, and I have 2 that live with me.
So you moved in with Mr. Boudreau with your 2 children?
Actually, we got the place together. He was living at the time with his parents.
Did you sign a lease together?
I was the main person on the lease.
Then the answer is only you signed the lease.
All our information was on there.
Who signed the lease? Raise your hand.
Both of us did.
Great. As joint tenants?
Yes.
Now, it is your complaint, Mr. Boudreau, that after the 2 of you separated, Miss Kassler went to a joint bank account and she withdrew some money. That's $1,600.
Yes.
And she had not put that money into the account. That was your money, because
Correct.
this was sometime after you had separated that she closed the account.
Yes.
Ms. Kassler has a variety of reasons why she believes she was entitled to that money, and she's going to explain that to me. When did you move into this apartment together?
November 22nd of 2003.
And when did you move out of the apartment?
May 14th, 2005.
So you lived together for some period of time.
Yes, ma'am.
And your arrangement was, according to what I read, that each of you would put in $800 a month to cover your household expenses.
Correct.
Correct.
When was the last time you put money in that account, Ms. Kassler?
April 3rd.
April of 2005.
2005. I apologize.
At that time, you were still living there, so that $800 covered May rent.
Actually, that was for April's rent and bills.
Is that right?
Yes.
What was the rent?
$1,100.
And your gas, electric, cable,
Correct.
whatever. So I would assume that at the end of each month, there wasn't much left over from this $800 a month. That $800 a month just pretty much covered the bills
Some
for each
months,
month.
yes.
Okay, good. Now, when did you withdraw this money, Ms. Kassler, from the account?
When I took it all out, it was in June.
Now, Ms. Kassler, you knew that in June of 2005, it had been 2 months since you put any money into the account. And if there was money in the account, it was money that Mr. Boudreau had put in the account. Is that right?
Correct.
So now the ball is in your court, madam, to explain to me why you believe you're entitled to that money.
There were various months, which I have all written out here, that I put in over the $800 to cover the bills, and some months I put in extra to cover the rent because Mr. Boudreau was not working. And Mr. Boudreau also stated that when we moved with him to North Carolina, that if we were not happy, he would pay to move us back to North Carolina. I ended up having to pay to move myself back here. My son was a witness to a lot of these conversations, that's why he is here. But I ended up putting over $2,270 extra in that account to cover bills.
How much extra did Mr. Boudreau put in the account some months?
None.
What you're saying to me, Twofold. Listening to me is twofold. That the reason you took that money out, stop playing with your papers, Mr. Boudreau.
Oh.
The reason you took that money out of the account is twofold. A, because you thought you put in more than your fair share during the course of the year and a half that you were living together. That's one. And two, if I don't buy that argument, you had to spend money to move you and your family back home, despite the fact that Mr. Boudreau had said that if things didn't work out, he would pay for your moving.
Yes.
Is there any other reason that you want to offer me why you closed that account and took out the
Because I
money?
wanted my name off of that account.
Okay. Is that the primary reason why you went to the bank?
I sent them a letter to close the account.
You have a copy of that letter?
Yes, I do.
Let me see the copy of the letter, please.
Right here. And then here's a copy of the email with the bank.
All right, so the first thing that you did was...
I sent
when
him an
you
email.
separated... Shh.
Whoops.
Okay. At least initially, I get the sense, Ms. Kessler, that what you intended was just to have your name taken off the account. And if that meant that the account had to be closed and reopened in his individual name, that's what you wanted.
Yes.
And then you ask the question, well, what happens to the funds that are in the bank? Because the bank says, it can't just take your name off, the account has to be closed. And you say, well, then I want the account closed. And they say, well, okay, you know, we'll send you the paperwork and you close the account, because you can do that. And then they say, well, what do you want to do with the funds in the account? And you say, well, how are those funds going to be dispersed? And they say they send you a check, because you're the one closing the account, and you put it in your bank. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I tried contacting him, and he would not answer the phone. Or
What did you try contacting him for,
just
Ms.
to
Kessler?
get my name off of there. And
All
then
right,
he sent me threatening emails, and I said, because I was going to let the money, extra money that I put into the account go, just to sever contacts with him. He sent me a threatening email, and I said,
Did
that's
he? Can I see it?
How
See
many
what
do you
happens
want?
when you're not nice, Mr. Boudreau?
I do.
You see what happens when you're nasty? You could have eliminated this whole thing if you weren't nasty. What'd you get nasty for?
Because those emails I sent, most of them were replies back to hers she sent to me. I mean, she called me in 475 times in a little bit over a month.
You have the records
And
of that?
I have the records of that
I
right
see. What'd
here.
you call him 475 times for?
When I first went down there, he had worked on my computer, and I was having computer problems. And some of those,
475 times?
and if you notice, some of those calls were made to the cell phone first, and because he did not answer the cell phone, I called the house phone.
475 times?
Well, I have emails here to bet that
Miss
say,
Kessler.
why won't you answer the phone?
Miss Kessler. 475
that's what it
times.
says.
That's harassing. All right, think about when he says nasty things to you.
I mean, before that, he had threatened my life.
This is disgusting, sir. I don't care what she said to you. I don't care if she called you 475. This is disgusting.
And I have a lot more with those words in him. He would say that to me in front of my children.
How long did he say that in front of your children before you moved out?
That's why I got out of there.
But he said it, listen to me, the first time, not the second time. The first time he used this language in front
Too
of my
long.
children.
Too long.
In front of my children.
Too
You're a
long.
tough girl. I mean, I read what you did.
Too long.
I read what you did. You're a pretty tough girl.
I should have got out longer than I did.
Absolutely right. One time, use this kind of language in front of my children, and I'd be gone. If you let him abuse your children that way, that's your problem. They're not his children. You know why you're here, Mr. Boudreau?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're here because you have a big, fresh mouth. A big, fresh, nasty mouth. I mean, I never saw somebody string these expletives together in sentences like this. Don't you have any other way of expressing yourself, sir? Don't you have any other way of, in a civilized manner, expressing yourself?
I tried every way.
No.
I tried every way.
You
and
think that saying it this, Mr. Boudreau, you think that using this kind of language is going to get her to stop calling you? You think that this kind of language in a letter is supposed to inspire her to do things in a reasonable way?
I mean, 475 phone calls.
What did she want
emails,
from you?
messages.
Mr. Boudreau, what did she want from you, sir?
No, I have no idea.
What did you want
I
from
have
him?
no idea.
Shh, Miss Kessler.
Right now, my kids want
No,
their
no,
dog.
shh. Forget the dog. Just go, forget it. Go buy him a new dog.
I didn't want
I'm
anything
asking
from
you,
him. I wanted him to leave
so
me
what,
alone.
So what were you calling? Shh. Listen to me. What were you calling him for? Don't think. What were you calling him for?
At first, to get my computer straightened out, because he's the one that formatted it. And there were programs on there that I didn't understand how they worked, and he knew how they worked, and I was trying to get him to help me with them.
At first?
Mm-hmm.
After you didn't return your calls because he didn't want to talk to you, at first, then there has to be a second. What was the second reason that you called him?
Stupidity.
Right. And then you took his money. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600. That's all.
Party's ex.
21-year-old Dora Spicer and her mother, Brenda Waters, are suing the father of Dora's children, Leonard Kiwi, for a loan to get his car fixed, the return of belongings, and pain and suffering.
Who's Miss Waters? Miss Spicer, this is your former boyfriend, and you have 2 children with him. Is that right?
Yes.
How long have you been together?
We were together a little over 5 years.
How old are you now?
21.
And how old are you?
24.
So you were 19, you were a baby.
I was 16 when we got together.
And how old are your children?
3 and 16 months.
According to your complaint, things in the relationship went south. You had gone to bartend at a party. Mr. Kiwi came to the party. He didn't like the way you were dressed. He thought you were being flirtatious. You even went so far as to wear makeup. There was an altercation, and you left.
Yes.
Him.
Yes.
Took the children, and you went to your mother's?
Yes.
According to your complaint, he refuses to return your personal property.
Yes.
That's what the case is about. And that personal property, you're talking about your clothing?
Yes.
And your children's clothing?
Yes.
What else?
My daughter's TV and DVD player that my mom bought her for Christmas.
Your daughter, who's 3 years old, got a TV and a DVD player?
Yes.
Get over it. Now, Mr. Kiwi, let's deal with this one thing at a time, sir. Do you have her clothing?
No, I allowed her to come over on an agreement. On December 23rd, they agreed to me that I wouldn't call the police on them, that they could come over and.
What happened to her clothing?
She came and got it with her mother and stepfather.
What
and
about
all
the
of her
children's
stuff.
clothing?
She took some of it, but basically almost all of it, and left me with like a couple pairs of clothes that don't even fit them.
Did you go there with your mother?
Yes, I didn't get all of my clothes. I still had some clothes there, and I didn't take all the kids' clothes. There's still clothes in totes in the garage that fit the girls.
Well, just a second. He's their father. Who bought the clothes?
He did. My mom did. His mom did. His sister did.
Well, you can't take all the clothing.
I don't want all the clothes.
You took some?
Yes.
Good. So, and some he has?
Yes.
Now, your clothing?
Yes. I have a few pairs of jeans over there, some more shirts over there.
You're talking about nonsense. You're talking about little stuff. What are you suing him for? I mean, I don't get it. You were together 5 years. We're not talking about a couple of pairs of jeans, madam.
No, but they're mine. I should be able to get them.
Well, do you have her jeans?
I found one pair of jeans that was in the dirty clothes, and that's the only reason she didn't
pack
take
it up and get it over to her.
Yeah.
Now, let's get to your mother. I can't stand to deal with nonsense. You say that you loaned him $1,000 to fix his truck.
Yes.
When?
It was September 12th.
What year? Did she give you $1,000 to fix your truck?
No, she found a gentleman who at a bar who works on vehicles, and at first I was going to sell my Explorer to him, parted it out.
Did
but then
she
he
pay
said,
$1,000 to have your truck fixed?
Yes,
Okay. Now, it is your defense to that
yes.
that you had loaned her $3,000 a year before.
Well, I took out a loan for $3,000 because I was $1,000 behind on rent, so I paid $1,000 on rent, and I gave her $2,000 so their house would not be foreclosed on because they've took out like 4 mortgages on their home.
When did you give her the $2,000?
Before the Explorer was fixed.
Do you have any proof of that?
The only thing that I would have had was be like from my bank that say I paid off the loan, but unfortunately I didn't bring that because it's not paid off yet.
Okay. Tell me how it came about that you gave her the $2,000. Tell me about it.
Dora
I'm a good judge of what's true
Dora
and what's
was
not.
crying and stuff, and I felt sorry for him because I thought we were family then, but I can see, I guess we're not. And I was just being nice and helping him out.
No, tell me how she came about. Did she come to you and tell you she needed the money?
No, she spoke to Dora, and Dora was telling me about it.
Look at me. When was it that your mother fell? Look at me. I didn't finish the question yet. When did your mother fall behind in her mortgage payments?
It was back in 2005, and he did loan her $2,000, but it wasn't from a loan. It was with his 2005 income tax.
I don't care what it was from.
2006.
Your mother said it was 2006.
It was 2006.
So, How much money did you receive from him?
$2,000, and it was paid back in monthly payments of $500 a month, starting with the month of April and ended in the month of August.
Show me.
I gave it to Dora, and they paid their rent with it.
She gave me cash.
This was never brought up about the $2,000. This was prior. We'd borrowed the money from him, and I've only got one mortgage on my house. I don't have 4 mortgages.
Whatever, you have 4 mortgages, you have 1 mortgage. He loaned you $2,000. When?
It was in March.
March of what year?
2006.
And what month did she fix the truck? September of '06.
Yes.
And how much did you pay him back, according to you?
I paid him $500 a month for 4 months, starting in the month of April. It was originally agreed that we were going to start paying in May, the $500, but they were low on money at the time and stuff, so I started paying the money back in April. I paid him back $500 in April, $500 in May, $500 in June, and $500 in July.
Did she pay you back any of the money?
Not all of it.
How much did she pay you back?
I'm not sure. She'd give the money to Dora, like she'd say, and then Dora would say that she was paying us, but I didn't see any of the money.
In what month did your mother give you the first payment of $500?
Around the 3rd of April because we didn't have our rent money.
And when did she give you the second payment?
Towards the end of May because we spent it on my daughter's 3rd birthday party.
End of May. And when did she give you the third payment?
Sometime in June, I don't know when. And the last payment, I guess sometime in July. I don't remember the exact date, but she paid us back. And that's why she made the agreement to fix the Explorer for us because we were down on money then.
Tell me how it came about that you paid this $1,000 for him.
My daughter had called me. Scott also has a Ford Escort. It had...
Just tell me, your daughter called you and what?
Their Ford Escort was broke down. Scott did not have transportation to go to work. She was upset because she didn't want him to lose his job because the Escort was broke down. I loaned him some money to help for parts on that, and then I said that I would pay for the Explorer to be fixed so that they would have 2 cars that were running, because at that time Dora was trying to find a job so she could make income also. So I loaned him the money. I have a gentleman that I work where
Listen
I work.
to me. You have no contract with him, your daughter. You know, just because they're no longer together, which is what's happened, just because they're no longer together, doesn't mean that you come to court and you claim things that really aren't so. It sounds to me as if he wasn't totally a bad guy. A little controlling, perhaps. You know you're a little controlling, Mr. Kiwi.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like he's a bad guy. He thought you were all family. He gave you $2,000 from his tax returns when you needed it. He didn't even ask to see the return of the money. You say you gave it to your daughter. She did whatever she wanted to do with it. She paid bills, she paid the rent, she did everything. She never showed it to him. And he was the only one working, right? So he was making a family. Just because they're no longer together and things aren't good anymore doesn't mean that you come to court over a pair of jeans that was in the laundry and fixing the truck so that your daughter would have a car and the boyfriend would have a car.
She never got the
now,
car.
do me a favor. Do me a favor. I have other things to do today. You have a counterclaim?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, your counterclaim says that you don't see your children.
Yes.
That's your counterclaim.
Yes.
That's for a different court, sir.
Okay.
Are you in another court about seeing your children?
Yes.
Do you see your children now?
Every now and then, but it's a very big hassle because they will not take my children to the designated spot because it is not in writing. So since it's not in writing, they make me go to their house, and they know I cannot go over there because I have an ex parte. And when I go over there to see my kids, they call the police. Her mother comes out and stepfather and tries to kick my butt, so I got ex partes against them as well, her mother and stepfather.
What arrangement? Uncross your arms. What arrangements have you made for Mr. Kiwi to see his children? Don't look over there.
We have called him, and my sister calls him at work because I can't speak to him. Calls him at work, tells him to meet my dad up the road at a store called Clyde's. He always makes an account. He doesn't have gas. He can't get to where it is. So my dad drives to Steve's, a gas station that's closer to him, and drops off the girls.
When was the last time you saw the children?
2 weeks ago. He's supposed to get them this weekend.
And before the last visitation, when was the last time you saw the children?
2 weekends before that.
Okay. Well, you're going to have to deal with the courts about that, Mr. Kiwi. You understand that?
Yes.
I suggest that you get whatever you need in writing, get it in writing. Do you understand?
Yes.
Very good. Okay. This case is going to be resolved this way. I want you to go into the laundry, and I want you to get her pair of jeans that she left there, put it in an envelope, and mail it back to her. Do you understand?
Yes.
Other than that, the case is dismissed. Goodbye.
Anne Marie Fessler claims former roommate James Hill stole money earmarked to bail her boyfriend out of jail. James says Anne Marie is making up a story.
Miss Fessler, this young man is your boyfriend's nephew. Your boyfriend was in jail. Is he still in jail?
Yes.
What is he in jail for?
We had gotten into an argument in a restaurant parking lot, and he hit me, and the cops are called, and he was locked up, and they're holding him for old warrants that he had.
Outstanding warrants for what?
One was a shoplifting charge from 95. One was a drug charge and something else. I think it has something to do with the drug charge. I'm not exactly sure what.
Do you know what he's in jail for?
Them fighting all the time, and like they're just very dysfunctional. Like,
well, they may be very dysfunctional, but that's not the only reason he's in jail. In any event, it is your claim that you gave him some money to bail out your boyfriend, that he didn't bail out your boyfriend, but he stole your money. And then you think he took some other money from an ATM card. Some convoluted story. In any event, Mr. Hill said, I took $600 to go and bail out my uncle that you did give him. And when he got to the prison to bail him out, it was more than that. So he gave you back your $600. He doesn't know anything about any other stolen money. He says he doesn't know why you would think that he would take property that belongs to you. Okay, Ms. Fessler, when was your boyfriend arrested for domestic violence?
November 24th of 2006.
And when did you call Mr. Hill about giving him money to go bail him out?
I called him and told him what the bail was. He told me to give him the money that I had, and he would see what he can do about getting the rest to go bail him out. I had $700 on me at the time.
Where'd you get $700 from?
Every month I get $400 from the state. They give me I'm on a rental assistance and welfare. They gave me $400. We saved $200 every month for the last 3 months.
Just a second. They give you $400 for what?
For my kids from welfare every month.
How many children do you have?
I have 2.
So the state gives you $400 a month to feed and take care of your children. And you save $200.
I was taking $200 out every month for my kids' Christmas, and the other $200 I was using to buy their diapers and stuff every month.
What other money comes into your house?
That's all the money that we have.
No. Impossible.
They were paying...
Impossible.
They were paying our rent.
You, the boyfriend, the 2 children, living on, according to you, $50 a week, because if they send $400 and you're saving $200, that means that the 4 of you are living on $50 a week, unless the boyfriend is selling drugs.
No, they were paying our rent also. We were getting rental assistance, too, from welfare. They were also paying our rent, and that was $800 a month that they were paying for us.
So they're paying rent. That still leaves you $50 a week to feed.
We were also receiving food stamps from them, too. We were getting $500 in food stamps, too.
So were you selling those?
No.
What were you doing with them?
Buying food and formula for my son and my daughter.
And what was the boyfriend doing?
He was trying to find a job.
When was the last time he actually found a job?
In the summertime.
Doing what?
He was working for a trucking company.
And what happened to that job?
He lost his job because he was late too many days.
Why was he late?
Because I was sick, I was pregnant, so he was staying home to help take care of me and my daughter while I was pregnant with my son.
But you had been receiving welfare for a long time, right?
Yes.
So why wasn't he working and getting you off welfare before you got pregnant with the last baby?
We were having a lot of problems. They were trying to help us out with everything that we could. We were moving back and forth from place to place. We were having problems with my first landlord.
Listen, the government wants to give away their money to families who are actually living together. That is something that I am not going to rectify in my lifetime, although I would like to try. What I resent is welfare is supposed to provide people with their basic necessities, not enough money to save. You know, people who earn $25,000, $30,000 a year can't put away $200 a month because they have to use that money to pay for rent, gas, electric, telephone, medical, all kinds of other things, medicines, you know, so even if you're working and working hard and earning a moderate amount of money, you can't save $200 a month. Here, you're saving $200 a month on the taxpayer for Christmas presents. That's ridiculous, if I believed you. So, go ahead. So you had saved $600 so far for Christmas, and you gave him the $600.
I gave him the $600 and told him to go down and to the bail bondsman, and they said that they would take $600 to get him out. I gave him the $600. I couldn't go down there. They said that I had to be at least 23 to sign the papers. I'm not 23, so I couldn't take the money down there and sign it.
How old are you?
I'm 21. So I asked him to take the money down there. He said his sister would co-sign with him. Supposedly they took the money down there. He called me back and told me that the bail bondsman wanted more money, that a charge from New York came up on him. So I went...
Sub Butte. So he's got stuff from where? Where do you live?
Trenton, New Jersey.
So you live in New Jersey? Well, it's not far from New York to New Jersey. He gets around. What happened to the $600, Mr. Hill?
All right, Your Honor. First of all, everything she said is bogus.
Listen to me. I asked you a question.
Yes.
I said,
yes,
what
ma'am.
happened to the She gave you $600.
Yes, she
that
did.
you agree with?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
My question is a simple one, Mr. Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting hungry.
Okay.
You understand? What happened to the $600?
It went right back into her hand, Your Honor.
When?
Right after I tried, my witness here, Miss Irvin, she took me to the police station to bail him out. When they told me it was not enough money, I then, plus 155 of my own, because she asked for extra money to go help pay the fines off before he can get bailed out. I never even asked her for that money back. The following morning, she tells me the money's missing, someone's stolen the money. I have nothing to do with that.
She told you that someone stole that $600?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, he got up in the morning and came downstairs and told me that in the middle of the night he found my front door to my apartment standing wide open. He said the apartment got cold, he came down and used the bathroom, and the door was standing open to my apartment. I was going to my room to go see where my money was. My money was gone. He claimed that somebody came in and took the money.
Miss Fessler, you following what I'm saying, madam?
Yeah,
I want
but
you to
I'm
listen
saying
to me very carefully.
what he's saying isn't
I want
true.
you to listen to me very carefully. We're starting with this premise, Miss Fessler, that the money you gave him, the $600, to bail out your boyfriend, right, was money that the government intended for your children. That's what the taxpayers gave you the money for, to feed and clothe your children, not to use for Christmas presents, and certainly not to use to bail out your drug addict boyfriend. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. Now, it matters not to me, and I'm telling this to you from the bottom of my heart. If he stole that money and used it for, I don't know, bought a whole new outfit, had his hair done, I don't know, whatever he did with the money, right? That to me is no worse than what you did, taking the money away from your children to go bail out your boyfriend. What difference does it make to me as a representative of the government? What happened to the misappropriated money? It wasn't meant for your boyfriend. Put your hand down. By giving the money away for bail, you are stealing the money from your children. You can't do that. You get it? Good. So I am totally disinterested with what happened to the $600.
Okay.
All I know is, as a taxpayer, one thing remains firm. The boyfriend is probably where he belongs, and the $600 was going to get misused, whoever used it, you or him. And I don't care. I got other fish to fry today. What difference does it make to me is whose con it is, his or yours. Now, what other money do you claim he took from you?
He took $200 from the Red Cross that they had gave me. My apartment had burnt down on December 4th. We both were given cards from the Red Cross. I had $722. He received $200 and something. I don't know exactly how much. I had asked him to come into the hotel room with me for a minute to watch my kids while I went to go call my mom. I came back in to get my kids. My mom was taking us to New York to go to court with her.
For what?
She's having a problem with two of my other sisters in New York.
Listen to me. Get to the story. The Red Cross gave you money, and you claim that he took out some money from that card.
I got to New York to take the money off the card so I could buy my daughter something to wear. My card was not there. He was the only person in the room. I have a police report stating where the money came from. It came from an ATM machine from a store that's right down the street from where he lives. I never told him the money came from an ATM machine from a store. When I called him, he told me that there's no ATM machine in the store down the street. I never said anything about a store to him.
Did you steal any money from her Red Cross card?
No, ma'am. You had the cards that they gave us. They give you and only you an access code to those cards. You understand? She asked me to watch the children. My room was 2 doors down from her. I kindly came, watched the children. How can I take something within a matter of seconds?
They have an envelope. They give you the card.
I don't know. All I'm asking you is, did you take her money?
No, ma'am.
They put the card inside of an envelope. They put the card inside an envelope, and on the envelope is the PIN number. He knew it too because they gave him the same thing.
So we had the same PIN code?
Just a second. Do you work?
Yes.
No,
Who do
he
you,
doesn't.
Shh. I don't want to. Who do you work for?
I work for National Fidelity. I work. It's like it's a loan off. I'm a junior loan officer.
Do you get paid a weekly salary?
Yes.
How much?
I earn $600 a week.
Really?
Yes.
What's the name of your boss?
John. Oh, that's his first name.
What's his phone number?
Excuse me.
Excuse me. Phone number. What word didn't you understand?
I can't. I don't know the phone
What's
number.
your work
offhand.
phone number?
Excuse me. My work phone number
Yeah, that would be another.
Like,
What word
everything-
didn't you understand?
Your Honor, everything is
People
stored in
deserve
my
each other.
phone.
Miss Festley, your case is dismissed. Listen, when the government wants to give people money, the government intends for the people to use that money for its intended purpose. The fact that your Red Cross, also money that you never earned, the Red
But I had
Cross,
lost
I'm
my
speaking,
house.
you lost your house with money that was given to you by the state.
But he still took it from me.
I
though,
don't
that
know
had
whether
money.
he did or not.
My sister was there with me. He admitted he told my sister
Oh,
that
different
he
story.
had the money.
Come. Your name?
Tia Dixon.
Where do you live?
I live with my boyfriend.
And what do you do for a living?
Well, I'm going to school right now.
What school do you go to?
Mercer County Community College.
How many credits do you take?
I
would know that.
She just started.
I just started. I start back next Monday for the second
So
semester.
you're not... Oh, please. All right, you say that this young man admitted he took money from
He
you.
admitted it. When she called him about it, he admitted to her that he took it.
How do you know that?
Because
Don't speak. Because?
Because I was sitting there.
Sitting where?
I was sitting with her.
Yes.
And he admitted that he took the money and he started
What do you
cussing
mean,
her
you were
out.
on the phone?
Yeah, on the phone. She had chirped him up and she said that she wanted her money back. He said, first he started cussing her out. He said, stop calling me about this. You call me about this one more time, you and your kids. He said, I got the money, you not getting it back. And before I even heard all of that, she called me and said she was going to finally get her money back. She went down to the bail bondsman to wait for him.
I'm not talking about the bail bondsman. You didn't understand what I said about the bail bondsman. I'm talking about the ATM.
The ATM card. He went and he took the money off the card. He said that he took it. He
When did he
admitted
tell
it
you that he
about
took it?
He was on the phone with her and he
Again,
admitted.
just a second. He was on the phone again with her at a different time.
It was a week ago. This happened a week ago.
Ms.
I called
Fessler,
him.
your case is dismissed. I'm not happy with anybody here. Why don't you all spend a little more time trying to do something productive and a little less time figuring out how to scam the system. Goodbye.
Ashley Beischer claims the father of her child, Joshua Schmidt, owes for a $5,000 loan to buy a motorcycle. Joshua is countersuing, claiming Amy slashed his tires twice.
This used to be your boyfriend. When you were having a lapse in judgment while he was your boyfriend, you co-signed on a credit card for him to buy a dirt bike because he couldn't get it on his own.
Correct.
And the agreement was that he was to make the payments faithfully on that credit card.
That's correct.
He did make payments for a period of time on the credit card, and you separated. But he agreed to continue to make the payments on his bike, which he was using and which he took with him. Correct?
Correct.
Then there came a time that you and your fiance, this would be fiance, went to purchase a car. And you found out that your credit was awful. When you checked to ascertain why, according to your complaint, you found out that Mr. Schmidt had not been faithfully making on time the credit card payments on his bike. So what you want now is you want him to pay off that credit card so that hopefully you can get your credit restored.
That's correct.
Mr. Schmidt says that he was paying off the credit card until you slashed his tires.
That's ridiculous.
Shh. So that the fault is really yours for slashing his tires, causing him to lose his job. Have we joined the issue, Mr. Schmidt? Hello? You say in your answer it's really her fault.
Yes, I believe it is.
Perfect. I would like to see the date of the credit card loan and the history of payments.
I have that right here. This only goes back a year. They wouldn't.
Fine. Okay. Now, Mr. Schmidt, on what day, sir, do you claim your tires were slashed?
On May of 2006, I had 2 tires on my vehicle that were slashed. And then October of 2006, I had another tire slash on my car.
Just a second. After which incident, sir, did you lose your job?
The second.
So it's really the October of 2006 incident that you claim caused you to lose your job.
Yes.
And fall behind in your payments.
Yes.
So it would be a fair statement, sir, that it wasn't until October of 2006 that you started making either late payments or skipping payments or anything else. Up until that time, they were okay.
Correct.
Okay, good.
Your Honor, can I point something out?
Shh. Maybe, if I need some help. Well, sir, in September of 2006, which was before your tire was slashed, you had a late fee of $39.
Okay.
That's before, right?
Yep.
And in August, which was before your slashed tires, you had a late fee of $39.
That would be after the first.
You just told me, sir, that you didn't lose your job until after the October incident.
Yes, but missing days of work.
No. Baloney. The issue was that after the October incident, you lost your job because of the tire slashing, causing you to fall behind in your payments. And you said to me prior to that time you were on time with your payments. So we now have August and September where you were late. Are you following me, Mr. Schmidt?
Yes, I am.
Who is this?
This is my witness, Jason.
Maybe. Jason. Now we have July. Late, Mr. Schmidt. And how much, sir, were you supposed to pay every month?
It's about $70.
So sometimes you didn't pay at all. And then you sort of doubled up the next month, right?
Yes.
You can't do that. You know you can't do that. Look at what we have here. A June late assessment. And you didn't make a payment. Whole month of June.
Is it possible, though, that me without a vehicle, how is it possible for me to get to work, to make money, to make payments on this?
What are you talking about? Who cares about whether you have a vehicle?
How do you get to work?
I don't care how you get to work. Walk, crawl, get your witness to pick you up. Now, let's go back to before the first incident, Mr. Schmidt, that you allege she slashed your tires, which you have to prove to me anyway. Let's go back to April now. Even you will know, Mr. Schmidt, that April comes before May,
yes.
Right? How do you account for the late charge in April, Mr. Schmidt?
I don't.
Right. So the cock and bull story that you gave me is just that. You've been making late payments on this loan forever, because we also have one for March. So what do I care how you get to work? How did Abe Lincoln get to school? I'm waiting for an answer.
Walk.
That's what he did. He walked. And you remember from grammar school how many miles he walked to school every day?
No, I don't.
I think it was 5 miles each way, wasn't it, Bert? I think something like that. 5 miles each way. Do you understand, Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
When somebody else does a nice thing to you, what you're supposed to do is not be a pig. If you want to, you get the loan totally out of her name, and then if you want to screw up your credit, you do it. But you don't screw up her credit. Now, how much is left on the loan?
The grand total is about $6,700.
Well, the maximum I can award you is $5,000. You understand that? And the check will be directly to the credit card company which holds the loan.
Yeah.
You're still responsible, as is he, for the remainder of it,
right.
And he's responsible to pay it.
Right.
Who do you work for?
I actually just got a new employment job. It's DeLuca and Tobin.
Well, you would have no objection if they deducted the remainder of the balance, anything over $5,000 from your check, would you? Listen to what I just said. You owe the money. You have the dirt bike, don't you?
Yes.
The maximum I can give her is $5,000. That will be made directly to the credit card company. You still owe them about $1,600. Are you prepared to sign an authorization to allow them to take the remainder of the money at periodic payments out of your check?
Yes.
Perfect. We will prepare that order and send it over to the drilling company and any other company that you might work for subsequently. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, let's get to the slashed tires. Did you slash his tires in May?
Absolutely.
You don't look like a tire slasher.
No.
You didn't see her slash your tires, did you?
No, I didn't.
Did you?
I did not see her, no.
Step up. Your name?
Jason
Jason what?
Meyer,
How do you know her?
through him.
When was the last time you had any contact with her?
While.
A while is not a month
Well,
and
I
a year.
don't talk to her, but I've seen her around town.
When was the last time you had contact with her?
Last fall, or around there.
Tell me about that contact.
Well,
Look
I was,
at me.
I was at the bar and I had walked by and
Bar, what bar?
Krieger's possibly.
What do you mean Krieger's possibly?
Well, it was either that bar or another one over there.
What time?
Probably 8 or 9 at night.
What date?
I'm not exactly sure.
What month?
October or November.
Mr. Schmidt, you sure you want me to do this to your friend? You sure you want me to do this to your friend?
Yes.
Be my pleasure, sir. You're walking by the bar that you don't know on a date that you don't remember in a year that perhaps you remember, and tell me what you believe you have that is germane to this case.
Well, I had heard her and her friends laughing about how his tires had been popped.
Yes?
Yeah, so I assumed she had something to do with it.
Oh, well, then you assume. Good. Do you have anything else that's germane to this case?
I did pick him up for work, too, a couple times.
I don't care about that. Sit down. You have anything else on the tire slashing, sir?
I just have a copy of, actually, no, I do not have
Good.
this on me.
Thank you very much. Your counterclaim is dismissed. You owe $5,000, and we will prepare an order for the remainder of the $1,600 to be deducted automatically from your check. Forward that to your employer with my love and hugs and kisses. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bridget Johnson claims ex-boyfriend Robert Jones owes for an assault and for funeral costs for their child. Robert claims the deceased child wasn't his.
Miss Jones, according to the complaint that I've read, the defendant was your boyfriend. He became pregnant sometime in 2005.
Yes.
You broke up with the defendant and you were pregnant at the time.
Yes.
It is your claim that he assaulted you, and as a result of that assault, your baby was born prematurely and died. You want the defendant to pay for half of the baby's funeral expenses and damages for the assault.
Yes.
Mr. Jones says that you were the one who assaulted him, as a matter of fact, on the day that you broke up, that he never agreed to pay for the child's funeral expenses. As a matter of fact, he wasn't even positive that the child was his and told you that he had wanted a blood test before he assumed responsibility of the baby. That's your defense?
Yes, it is.
Okay. When did you become pregnant, Miss Johnson?
I found out I was pregnant July 22nd.
Of what year?
2005.
And were you living with Mr. Jones at the time?
Robert was staying with me along with his son because he was having arguments with his mother.
Did you move in with her in July or before that time?
I'll be staying over, you know.
You were staying over?
Yeah.
Okay. And when did you break up?
November 20th as a result of the assault.
Just listen to me. Had he slept at the house the night before?
Yes.
And the night before that?
Yes.
So tell me what happened on November the 20th.
November the 20th, I received a phone call from Rob at about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, then he hadn't been at your house 3 o'clock in the morning.
No, he was at the bars. He would frequently go to the bars and then come over to my house afterwards. And he had called me at 3 o'clock in the morning stating that he was going to come over. I ran downstairs and unlocked the door like I would usually do, and he didn't come in. So after a while, I looked out my window and saw that the car was parked and the headlights were on and the car was still running. So I laid there for a couple more minutes and then got dressed. And when I walked outside, I saw that Rob was passed out in the driver's seat. So I crawled into the passenger seat and woke him up and asked him, you know, what he was doing and why he hadn't come in the house, and he told me that he didn't know. So we were trying to get the headlights of the vehicle to turn off. They wouldn't turn off. So I suggested that we just unplug the battery. I was 5 months pregnant. I didn't want to be fighting with him. I would much rather just go to bed. He wanted me to, you know, be with him that night, and he wanted to be around me. So I stated, you know, let's just unplug the battery. We couldn't figure out the lights. So he started to proceed to back out of my driveway. I told him that he was drunk, that I didn't want to go anywhere with him. And he wasn't listening to me, so I leaned over and smacked him in the face. I went like this to the front of his face. He then looked at me, told me to do that again, and I looked at him and said, "What did you mean?" And the next thing I knew, he punched me in my face.
So first you punched him and then he punched you?
Yeah, I didn't punch him.
No, just a second. So first you punched him.
Yes.
And then he punched you?
Yes.
Okay, now I got it.
But the only reason I hit him is because he wasn't listening to me and he wouldn't stop the vehicle.
I got you.
So then my nose...
He wasn't listening to you?
Yes.
Why don't you just take the keys out of the ignition?
I didn't think of that.
You shouldn't have gotten in the car in the first place.
I shouldn't have told him to come over that evening.
That's also correct.
Knowing that he was drunk.
That is also correct.
Yes,
Okay,
I agree.
keep going.
I realized that my nose was bleeding very, very badly. So I opened the car door and I half jumped out of the car, and he like kind of gave me a little push along with it because he was laughing at the time. And I ran in the house and proceeded to call my mother first. And
So you weren't too far from where the house was?
No, I live on the second house at the corner of the block, and we were at the corner of the block.
Keep going.
I called my brother and he took me to the emergency room.
And what did they do for you there?
I first saw a police officer and they went to arrest Rob.
That doesn't answer my question. What did they do for you in the emergency room?
At the emergency room, they took x-rays of my face, and I was having a sharp pain that was shooting from my back to my stomach. So then I was told that I had to go up to the maternity floor for monitoring on the baby.
And that was in November?
Yes.
And when was the baby born?
The baby was born in February.
February what?
7th.
How much did she weigh?
She weighed 2 pounds, 2 ounces.
And when did she pass away?
The 11th.
Between November 20th and February 7th, did you see the defendant?
I saw him at the court dates.
Other than that?
No, because there was a court order for him to not be within 1,000 feet of me.
Now, when did you have this conversation with him with regard to paying for the baby's funeral expenses?
Okay, the first conversation I had with Robert was when he called me in late June after Father's Day. And I said, well, I kind of need money, you know, we should be paying for her gravestone, and I have funeral expenses that I couldn't get a grant from the state from everything. And he told me that he would give me $200 in August, and that him and his mother could save that together. I then called him on August 24th, and he told me he didn't have the money. So I said that I would pay the rest of it and that he could just pay me back. And he proceeded to say that that was fine. The next time I spoke to Robert was on September 17th when he called me and asked me if I wanted to go fishing with him with him. So I said, yeah, that I would go fishing because I wanted to speak to him about, the money.
Don't tell me why. You agreed to go fishing with him?
Yes. I knew
Is this
that.
the first time you had seen him other than the courthouse? Listen
No.
to me.
No.
Other than the court proceeding, is this the first time you saw him since November?
Otherly than court and then our daughter's birth, no.
Well, you didn't tell me about the daughter's birth.
My sister called him the morning that I was supposed to have a cesarean section. I was diagnosed with preeclampsia, which is high blood pressure, and then becomes toxic and it affects the baby's heart rate. And the first time I had high blood pressure was December 20th, and it proceeded to get worse throughout the pregnancy due to stress-related causes.
Don't tell me what it was due to, madam, unless you're a physician. Are you a physician?
No.
Good. Go ahead.
My sister called him the morning that I was supposed to have the cesarean section. He showed up shortly after our daughter was born, and I asked him if it would be okay with him to go up with her to the hospital up in the cities, because we live in Mankato, and she was being airlifted to Minneapolis. He said that he would go and be with her because they didn't expect her to live past the night. The next day, I was released from the hospital, and the following morning, Robert came down from the cities and took us up to the cities where the hospital was because we weren't aware of where it was.
What do you mean he took you? How did he take you?
We followed him.
What do you mean you followed him?
My mother and sister and I followed him in a different vehicle. Him and his mother drove in their own vehicle. So when we got to the cities, he went to a basketball tournament and left us with my daughter so I could spend time with her. And then later on that evening, he came back to the hospital when I was at the hotel the following day.
I'm asking you when you spent time with him.
I didn't spend...
You didn't see him at the hospital?
No, he left as soon as he got us there. We got up to the room.
You didn't see him in the hospital is my question.
No, yes, I seen him at the hospital.
How many times did you see him in the hospital?
Just that first day.
So the baby died in February?
Yes.
Between February and September 17th, when he called to go fishing, did you see him?
On occasion, out and about, at like local stores, yes.
Other than seeing him at local stores, did you have a cup of coffee with him? Did you have a sandwich with him? Did you go out to a movie with him?
No.
Is that true, sir?
It's true.
So what prompted you to call her up to go fishing on September 17th?
Actually, she called me, and I just had mentioned we were going fishing. And if she, if she wanted to come, it was a beautiful day out. So she said, sure. So went fishing, took her home, that was it.
Go ahead. So continue with your story, madam. Here we are.
We went fishing.
We are now September 17th fishing, and he hasn't given you any money.
And when we went fishing, Robert and I took his mother to Cub Foods so that she could get milk for the house before he dropped me off at my apartment, which is about 3 blocks away from Cub Foods, which is a local grocery.
Just keep going, please. I don't need a map of the town. Keep moving.
So after we dropped his mother off at Cub Foods, it was him and I in the vehicle, and I brought up the money, and he told me that he had bills himself that he needed, and I proceeded to leave the vehicle. And then at the powwow, I saw him and brought up the money again, and that's actually
so you
why
weren't afraid of him?
No. Not when he's not drinking.
No, you weren't afraid of him.
No, I'm not scared of him unless...
Why in the world, some 2 years later, are you suing him now for assault?
I just think that he owes me the money. I was emotionally distraught from the loss of my daughter.
I want to know why you didn't sue him before you went fishing with him.
I didn't want to go through the court proceedings.
Well, what prompted you now to go through a court proceeding to sue him for a punch that happened 2 years ago?
The fact that he won't pay for our daughter's funeral expenses.
Did he ever tell you that he wasn't sure that the baby was his?
No, he never told me that. And if he didn't think that the baby was his, why would he go up to the cities and sit with her?
I don't know. I'm going to find out. Tell me what happened on November 20th, Mr. Jones.
Okay, I had broken up with her earlier that day because she was real emotional, and she was kind of abusive towards me. You know, she would hit me in my chest or whatever. Kind of, she did it like she knew because I wouldn't hit her, and she knew that, you know, I'm not a violent person. I never hit a female ever in my life, and I broke up with her earlier that day.
Well, tell me about breaking up with her earlier that day.
I was actually going to play ball with my friends, which I always did, and she kind of like got emotional and started, you know, kind of like crying.
No,
she cried a lot.
Kind of like, if you remembered what she said, if you remember as closely to what happened, please.
Well, we weren't getting along before this either, so on that day, I told her that it was over.
Is that right, madam?
No.
Before he went out to the bar that night, because clearly you had to unlock the door because you would lock the door, so clearly he wasn't living with you at that moment. Did he discuss with you earlier in the day on November 20th that he was not happy with the relationship?
No, he had never once tried to or attempted to tell me that he was not happy in our relationship.
Okay, keep going.
Okay, and so I called her and told her that I was going to come get my things.
What time?
This was at like about 2:30.
In the morning?
In the morning.
You crazy? Why would you call at 2:30 in the morning to say you were getting your things?
The bar was like right by her place.
So you had been in the bar, Mr. Jones? Yeah.
And I wasn't all like how she made it out to be.
I don't care whether you were all that. This is not an appropriate thing to do. To go 2:30 in the morning, to go while you're slightly inebriated, to get behind the wheel of a car and go anywhere, to settle anything.
Yep.
You're supposed to wait till the morning.
Okay, so I went and grabbed tried to grab my things. I told her that, you know, I just came to get my things and that it was over, and she kind of got mad because she didn't want to never break it off anyways. And prior to this, she had injured herself twice at work to get my attention. She would, oh, I'm at the emergency room, come down. And she, according to her, was in a car accident that rolled or whatever. This is all her stories, and I never had proof of anything, so.
How many times did you go to the emergency room with her prior to November 20th?
Just the day this kid was born. But after she had gotten pregnant, she told me that, like, just like weeks after I found out, she said that we got into an argument. She said she's early enough in her pregnancy where she can say somebody else is the father. And I said, well, how do I know that's not what you're doing to me? And I tried going to her first doctor's appointment, and she left me sitting out in the lobby.
Okay, got it. Did you ever tell her that you and your mother could save up $200 until August?
Yes, I did.
And that you would give her $200?
Yeah, I said that basically so she would just, you know,
I don't care why you said it. Did you tell her that?
Yes, I did.
Now, let's get back to November 20th. You said you were coming to pick up your things 2:30 in the morning.
Yep.
2:30 in the morning you got there, and?
She opened the door and she didn't want me in. And I wasn't going to barge in because that's not how I am.
Fine, so?
So she basically hit me in my eye because I told her I wanted my things and it was over. And she hit me in my eye, closed the door, looked out the window, and I said, that's fine. That's the last time you'll ever hit me. And I walked all, her sister actually dropped him off at my work.
Is what you're telling me that she never got into your car?
She never did.
All right, I'd like to see the police report, please.
Yes, and I have pictures.
I'd like to see the police report, please.
If I could say something, too, there was never even a police weren't even there.
Sir, you pled guilty to 5th-degree assault, according to the plaintiff.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so. All right, so you told the police that he doesn't live with you. That's what you told the police.
I told the police that he was staying at his mother's house.
You told the police that you do not live together and that he stays on and off, but he lives with his mother. Who are you?
Robert Armando's mother.
Stand up, please. Your last name is?
Jones.
Miss Jones, you told the police when they came to your house on November the 20th to go downstairs and get your son. Is that right?
Right.
You told him to go downstairs and get your son because he came home drunk.
Right.
And he was passed out on the couch.
Right.
Right. And you, sir, when you were questioned by the police, you were so drunk that you denied even being over at your girlfriend's house.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You know, Mr. Jones, there is absolutely no indication here, nor, I assume, do you have any medical testimony that would indicate a correlation between your baby's death 2 months after you got this black eye, because that's what it was, and the baby's illness.
No.
No. So what you're suing him for is for the simple assault of giving you a black eye and the $200 he promised you for the baby's headstone. He's not responsible with regard to any of the other baby's expenses because there is no indication that this is in fact his child. In order to do that, you either have to be married, which you are not, or you have to have a blood test, which would establish that he's the father. Then he would be responsible for half of any unrecovered expenses for the child. Since you don't have that, the only thing that you have to sue him on is his agreement that he would pay you $200 towards the child's headstone, which was really gratuitous, but he promised he would. You relied on that. That you have to pay, sir. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Since there is no correlation between the injury to your eye and what subsequently happened to the baby, I have to examine the circumstances surrounding what happened on that day. There's no question in my mind that he was drunk, that he has no recollection of what happened that day, that he's making it up as he's going along, because he even denied to the police that he was there that day. Even your mother was disgusted with you, sir. Is that a fair statement, Miss Jones?
Right.
Okay. Now, you pled guilty to assaulting her, sir.
Yes, I did.
And you received probation?
Nope, I just got a $500 fine.
No, he was placed on probation for 1 year.
Sir, you better start remembering things that happened to you.
I never was. I was supposed to get a probation officer. I never did.
I don't care whether you were supposed to, whether they never followed through and gave you a probation officer. Maybe you forgot. But if you were supposed to get a probation officer, it wasn't because they were giving you a probation officer for your birthday. They were giving you a probation officer because you were on
probation.
You have to learn, Mr. Jones, that there are consequences. However, Ms. Johnson, you don't get any awards for being the brightest bulb in the pack. When you're 5 months pregnant and your boyfriend calls 3 o'clock in the morning and says, I'm at a bar and I'm coming over, you lock your door and you keep it closed. You don't go outside to try to figure out how to get the lights off and disconnect his battery.
Yeah.
And you don't punch him in the face. But he started the problem by coming over there in the first place, which was really very stupid. And that, Mr. Jones, is going to cost you $500. So I'm issuing a judgment in the amount of $700, $200 for the baby's headstone and $500 for this 2-year-old assault. Thank you very much. That's all.
William Lyle claims his tenant, Christopher Rodriguez, assaulted him during an argument. Christopher is countersuing for harassment.
Mr. Lyle, it is your complaint that the defendant, who's a tenant of yours, assaulted you. You want your medical bills paid. You want damages for pain and suffering. Mr. Rodriguez says that you precipitated this altercation and that you tried to have him evicted and you had no basis for that. What kind of unit do you rent to Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Lyle?
Your Honor, a one-bedroom apartment.
How many units are in the building?
There is 4 units in this building.
When did you lease him the apartment?
I leased the apartment to Mr. Rodriguez on March 12th of this year.
And what's the term of the lease?
It's a 1-year lease, Your Honor.
Could you tell me the date of this altercation?
The altercation was on March 26th.
Tell me what happened.
On March 26th, I responded to Mr. Rodriguez's apartment where there had been a plumbing problem.
Is that correct so far? You had a plumbing problem on March 26th?
Yes, that I...
The answer is either yes or no. You had a plumbing problem.
Yes, I did.
And you reported the plumbing problem?
To the apartment manager.
And did the apartment manager see to it that a plumber arrived at your premises? Were you present when the plumber arrived?
Yes, and those are the only 2 people that
Just answer my question.
Okay.
You were present when the property manager arrived with the plumber?
Yes.
Okay, now continue, Mr. Lyle.
I responded...
On the 26th.
To the apartment.
Okay.
Responding to the apartment, I observed, yes, there was a plumbing problem. And while I was standing there, I observed over in the front room area on a coffee table what appeared to me to be a bag of narcotics.
What kind of narcotics?
I believed it was marijuana.
Okay, so you saw a bag of marijuana on a table.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I walked over, seized the bag.
Why?
Because it was marijuana, and I didn't allow marijuana in my apartment complex.
You can't do that, Mr. Lyle. You understand that you can't do that. You have no right to take any property out of his apartment. You may have the right to call the police and say, I see something in plain view, but you have no right to take any property out of his apartment. Similarly, if you walked into his apartment and you saw a gun or a rifle, you couldn't take that because he may have had a license for the gun. You have no right to take property. You can report it to the police, but you cannot resort to self-help.
Okay.
Okay, so you took the bag of marijuana, the suspected marijuana, which turned out to be marijuana, correct, sir?
Yes.
Okay, and what did you do with it?
I picked it up and was holding it in my left hand and was standing in a doorway. Just kind of had the bag of narcotics or marijuana in my left hand and had my right hand just bracing myself very leisurely, casually in the doorway like this. And shortly thereafter, Mr. Rodriguez and a friend of his came in the apartment. He started screaming and yelling at me that I was not allowed to be in his apartment. What are you doing here? At that time, I said to him, Christopher, you know, prior to you moving in, we had a conversation where I told you I didn't rent to anybody that smoked marijuana, had anything to do with drugs. You advised me at that time you had nothing to do with narcotics. You didn't smoke marijuana. And I said, listen, you know, I've had numerous complaints from my other tenants that you smoking dope, the smell of marijuana emitted throughout the building. You were causing nothing but problems in the building. At that time, he kept inching closer and closer to me, and I was very surprised. He attacked me.
How did he attack you?
He just, what's the word I can use, bull rushed me, charged me. He drove me back about 10 feet into a refrigerator. And as he drove me back, he kind of turned me to the left a little, or to the right a little bit. And I either hit the refrigerator handle or the side of the refrigerator door. And I bounced off the refrigerator door, came back at him, landed on top of him, and I started yelling for my plumber, Kim, and my property manager, who was also in the building at that time, to come on out and help me. And he was able to grab the marijuana back from me, and I yelled at Kim and my property manager to get the marijuana away from them. And I said, look, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. I'm going to file a police report. So I took the bag of marijuana, left the location, went down and got in my car, backed it out of the parking spot.
Where's the marijuana at this time?
At that time, it's sitting on my passenger seat.
All right, so you were stealing his property. That time you were stealing his property.
I guess I was stealing his property, Your Honor.
You were, Mr. Lyle, because I read Mr. Rodriguez's answer, and unless you are prepared to contradict that, Mr. Rodriguez says that he has a prescription for medical marijuana. That's what he says, and I assume that he's prepared to prove that to me today.
Yes.
So if he has a prescription for medical marijuana, even if he didn't have a prescription, you couldn't take it. But if he did have it lawfully, you were stealing property that he had in his lawful possession. And not only that, but you got your plumber to help you.
I guess, Your Honor, we're just a couple of bad citizens.
No, you're not a bad citizen, Mr. Lyle. You're here in a court of law. Now, Mr. Rodriguez retrieved his bag of marijuana from your car, because I read your complaint and I read his answer. So far, is that correct?
It's correct.
Did you? That's all I'm asking.
It wasn't a bag.
Whatever it was.
And plus, it wasn't on my
Just
coffee.
a second.
Okay.
I didn't get to you yet.
Okay, no problem.
Just answer my questions.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Lyle, we're here in a court of law, and you're asking me to make a judgment on whether or not Mr. Rodriguez had the right to prevent you from leaving his home with his property and to exert any force to do that. That's what you're asking me to decide.
At that time, I had not told him that I was going to leave the apartment with his property.
You had it in your hand, sir. And you, in fact, not only did leave with it, but you had managed to get it out of your hand, and you importuned two people to get it back, which suggests to me that you were intending to leave with it. So let's not play with each other, and I want you to understand something. I am very sympathetic from the perspective of a citizen, not a judge, but a citizen, that you have a 4-unit apartment complex, and I don't know whether you had complaints or not, but if Mr. Rodriguez has a prescription for medical marijuana and he smokes it in his apartment. And he may have other people that come over who have similar prescriptions that smoke in his apartment. That smell wafts all over a 4-unit apartment complex. And there might be people, I would be one of them, who would be incensed at that. I want you to understand that.
I understand that, Your Honor.
So don't give me that I'm just a bad citizen.
I understand
according
that,
to you.
Your Honor.
This is a legal place. And if Mr. Rodriguez can establish to me that he had a prescription for this, and of course he's going to tell me why he has a prescription for it, right?
Yes.
Then he had the right to stop you from stealing his property. And if he pushed you into the refrigerator, that's what he did to get his property back. And you called 2 other people to get the marijuana back from him. All very bad judgment, Mr. Lyle, on your part. Because if you're a landlord, if you have a tenant who's violating any conditions of the lease, you take him to court to have him evicted, which I assume you did.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
And that was denied.
Yes, it was, Your Honor.
Well, that's unfortunate. So now, that's unfortunate for you, but that's what the law is.
Yes.
All right.
You know, Your Honor, someplace, somewhere down the road of justice, somebody's got to hold this guy responsible for something. I've got a 4-unit building that he and his posse are holding hostage.
Yeah. Mr. Lyle, hey. Mr. Rodriguez, look at me.
Excuse me, Your Honor, excuse me.
Look at me.
Yes.
You understand that I have a certain sympathetic ear towards what he's telling me.
Yes, I do.
I mean, I would like to be able to pick up the phone and call the other 3 tenants that are in the building and find out if any of them have complained to him because of the smell of your marijuana. It's not particularly relevant, but it bothers him that that kind of activity is going on in your home. He should have been more careful about who he rented to. Now, how long have you had a prescription for medical marijuana?
I've had it since 2 years ago, but my new one is 1/30/09. That's the date of this statement. Because
I'd like to see it, please.
I got an accident when I was a kid, and so I kind of have a little neck injury. So, because my head kind of went through the windshield when I was like out of high school.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Rodriguez?
I'm in sales. I'm a sales representative.
How old are you, Mr. Rodriguez?
38.
And when was this accident that you had?
There was 2, one in 91 and 92, where my head went through the windshield and I basically was like dead on arrival. So I've had like a...
Don't tell me what you have, Mr. Rodriguez.
Okay. Well, I have a neck injury.
I heard you had a neck injury twice.
Okay. And then I got prescribed to be on like anti-inflammatory medication, but I don't really like to pop pills. You know, because I'm an athlete, I'm a surfer, so I don't really like how it feels.
You're a surfer?
Yes.
Oh. Give this back to him. Mr. Lyle, I understand your frustration with him. I got it. This serious life-threatening condition that he has is, in my judgment, and I'm not a medical professional, but for somebody who surfs as a hobby.
Yeah.
It was moving around. It would seem to me you wouldn't do that if you had a serious neck condition that requires you to take prescribed cannabis.
Cannabis.
Cannabis. Yes. Whatever it is. Marijuana. Instead of taking an anti-inflammatory that might help you. So I want you to understand, Mr. Lyle, I have sympathy for him because I do believe that there are some people who have really serious medical conditions that can benefit during the course of serious treatment from the use of medical marijuana. Yeah. And then there are those people that abuse it. And there are those people that abuse it by prescribing it to people who abuse it. Yeah. And that's the problem. Hey, I'm speaking.
Okay.
Now, if your hobby is playing the piano or playing the violin, I might have a little more sympathy. But if your hobby of choice at age 38 with a serious neck injury is surfing, my sympathy level for you is about 0. You got where I'm coming from, Mr. Rodriguez.
I understand.
Mr. Lyle, unfortunately, I have to dismiss your case, just as the housing court judge dismissed your case, and probably with equal frustration, at least I hope, because you couldn't do what you did. And Mr. Rodriguez had a right to retrieve his property and use lawful means to do that. I mean, he couldn't take a knife out and stab you to get his marijuana back or take out a gun and shoot you. But he had a right to try to get his property back, which he eventually did. Now, Mr. Rodriguez has a counterclaim because he says you've been harassing him. He's been harassing you, Mr. Rodriguez, because he'd like you out of his complex.
Okay.
Mr. Rodriguez, if you were a nice person, you would go find a nice complex where you wouldn't be irritating other people and you wouldn't be irritating the landlord. But you don't have to do that, and he has to suffer with you until March.
He's not having to suffer whatsoever. I'm having to suffer.
Well, you don't have to suffer. There are two choices for you not to suffer. Either he sells his apartment building or you move.
Well, there's no...
Just a second. Okay. Those are the two choices.
I'm not moving because I've
That's right. So you're not moving. So stay there, and if you want to stay there and continue to do what you do, you'll live out the term of your lease, and then he'll get rid of you.
The case is that he lost in court, and he also lied in court, and he continues to lie in court.
Just a second. Listen to me.
Okay.
I don't care whether he rummaged through your closet or if he found the combination to your safe. It's not that I'm finding that because he saw this marijuana in plain sight, he was able to take it. He wouldn't be able to take it if it was hanging from a chandelier in front of his nose. So whether he went in and looked through your closet or whether he saw it on a table, it's irrelevant. He had no right to take it.
Which I understand.
Hey, stop talking, sir.
Okay.
I'm telling you that if he tried to have you evicted because he believed that it was injurious to his property, that was his right. That's what a court is for. And if the judge in housing court wanted to impose some sort of punitive costs on him, I assume that the judge would have done that. I have no intention of doing that for you in this case. So take your sore neck.
Well, I haven't even got to explain my side of the story.
Just a second. I told him he was wrong. I'm dismissing his case. Why do you have to explain your story?
Because you're already judging me before you...
Just a second.
Okay.
I'm dismissing his case against you. You want to say something else, Mr. Rodriguez?
No, I do not, but
Very good. That's all. Out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
George Heath claims neighbor 17-year-old Marquise Peppers falsely accused him of being a pedophile and then assaulted him.
Mr. Heath, Mrs. Coleman is your neighbor, and this is her son.
Affirmative.
Hmm?
Affirmative.
You are 17.
Yes, ma'am.
But large for your age.
Yes.
And it is your claim that Miss Coleman's son assaulted you.
Assault and battery, ma'am.
Depends on where you live. And you want to be compensated. And Miss Coleman and her son say that you started it, and he just finished it. So, your first name?
Marquise.
How long have you and Mr. Heath been neighbors?
I don't know how long he's lived there, but I lived there for 2 years.
How long have you been there, Mr. Heath?
Since May of 2006.
So a little less than a year.
Affirmative.
A year. Have you gotten along for that year that you've been living there?
Up until recently.
What happened recently, Mr. Heath?
On April 25th of 2007, I was outside my door. Mr. Peppers was also outside his door. He was calling me a pedophile. He was saying I should never, never, never say the name of his little sister. I admit I may have started behavior that was more of an interest to a proctologist. But
I don't know what you mean by that, sir.
I was upset that being called a pedophile after 30 years of being a registered nurse here in California.
So he was calling you names and told you never to mention the name of his sister. What did you say to him?
Well, he challenged his authority by claiming that if I said in the name of his sister one more time, that he would beat me down. Being that I was very upset because of the general rumor within the neighborhood of me being a pedophile, I did say her name. Her name is Sanji.
And then what happened?
I repeated it a few times as he came
So you taunted
closer.
him. You were a grown-up.
Yes, I was an angry
You were a
grown-up.
grown-up. You were an angry grown-up.
Yes.
And he had called you a vile name.
Quite,
ahead.
especially when I have no record anywhere.
I understand you have no record anywhere.
Okay.
Got it. So you were taunting him, and what did he do?
He pushed me, and then, you know...
How did he push you, Mr. Heath?
I do believe, I will take his word for it, that he belly bumped me.
Okay.
I turned to catch myself, and I was struck on the back. I cannot say exactly if it was him or his friend LJ, but I did sustain an injury to my back.
Him?
He was right next to him, shoulder to shoulder.
So they both came over to you after you had repeated his sister's name several times?
Affirmative.
And he belly bumped you. When you turned around, somebody hit you in the back.
Yes, well, turning around in that, I was trying to catch myself as I was falling.
And as a result of that, Were you injured?
Yes, I have a report from my chiropractor that I have injuries from T6, that's thoracic spine vertebrae 6 to 7. These were significant enough for me not to be able to work for 2 months, which I have documentation from my employer of such.
All right, Mr. Pep, let me hear you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. On the day of that incident, the day before, we had got into like 2 days before we got into an argument.
About what?
I was sitting outside because my friends stayed next door to him, and I was sitting outside talking to them, and then my sister.
Talking to whom?
My friends that stay next door to him. And so I'm sitting outside, and then my mom calls me, and she sent my sister to come get me, and my sister comes and she says, "Marquise, your mom wants you." And then so he reaches over, and she's in between these stairs, and he reaches over and pats her on the head, and I say, "Man, don't touch my sister."
Why not?
Because, like, I don't know what it is, but ever since he's moved there, I've been, like, you know, real uncomfortable around him. And he's, like, he acts real, you know, friendly and stuff towards kids, like, you know, little girls. And I just, with my sister, I keep, you know, I'm overprotective about my sister. And so...
But he just touched her on the top of the head.
I know, but it was, like, the way how he did it. Like, you know, he rubbed his hand through her hair. And, like, you know, and I didn't like the way it happened, but I wasn't disrespectful to him. I just said, can you don't...
Fine, you said, don't touch my sister. That's all you said to him.
Yeah, but as I said that, my mom walked out, and I told her what happened, and then so they got into an argument.
Did you get into an argument, Miss Coleman, with him?
As I walked out, I heard George yelling at my son, and all I heard was the end of the conversation, and I asked him...
What did you hear?
He was calling my son ignorant and a pervert for saying what he said or whatever.
Well, did you say anything to him?
I said, don't touch my sister's head, and he called me a pervert because he said that I was looking at him as that, like, I don't know why he said it, but he just called me a pervert because I told him not to touch my sister.
And then?
That's when I came out.
Right.
And I heard them arguing, and my son said, George touched Sanji, and that's when I went to tell him he doesn't have to put his hands on her, do not touch her.
Did your son tell you how he touched her?
No, well, why
didn't you get that information, Miss Coleman?
I did. When I came over, he said he touched Sanji on the head. And right then, when she said he touched Sanji, I just verbally told him, you know, to keep his hands off my daughter, and I asked my children to come into our yard.
Okay, so that was a couple of days before.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened, Mr. Pepper?
And then the day of the incident, we were outside, you know, we played basketball and all of that outside, and George comes out and was playing the guitar to the little girl in the window, and I was just sitting there.
Playing a guitar?
Yeah, playing a guitar and singing to her. But he's sitting there playing a guitar to her, and that's not my relative or anything, so I didn't say anything about that. And somehow he got into an argument with other kids that was on the block, and so they were arguing, and somehow they said to him something about, oh, you touch kids and stuff. And he was like, yeah, I touch a lot of kids. And he started naming off kids on the street, like girls and stuff that he's touched. And then he somehow said Sanji's name, my sister. And then so that was when I got into the conversation. I asked him, I said, man, don't talk about my sister.
Did you call him a pedophile?
No, I've never called him a pedophile.
Did you call him a pervert?
No, I've never called him a pervert.
What did you call him?
I didn't call him anything. I just said, do not touch my sister.
Okay. And what did he say to you?
And he got into an argument with me, calling me a pervert and that I'm immature and stuff because I'm calling him out on stuff. And I'm like, you know, I didn't say anything. All I said was, don't touch my sister. And then so we're sitting here, we're arguing. And I stepped back, and my friend was with me also, and he was talking to him. He was like, there's no need for you to say her name. And I pulled him back, and George says it again. He was like, oh, what do you mean, Sanji? And I was like, don't say her name. And then so he takes off his glasses, and he untucks his shirt, and he steps up to me, and he says, what do you mean, Sanji? Sanji, Sanji? And so I had chest bumped him, and he, you know, it was like a fake stumble type, and he just stumbled back and hit the wall and purposely fell to the ground. And he made a lot of like weird noise and stuff that, you know, you could tell that it was being and like some kids was laughing at him and stuff because he was acting it out. And his wife said, I'm calling the police. And then so I looked at him, and then I turned around, and my sister was calling me. So I turned around, picked up my sister, and then I told my friend, I was like, let's go. And then we walked to his house.
Mr. Pepper.
Yes, ma'am.
What facts do you have that suggest to you that Mr. Heath's intentions with regard to the kids who play in the neighborhood, either singing to them or patting your sister on the head, is anything other than just genuine caring for children?
It's because of the way like he does it. It's real weird, you know. I don't feel comfortable around him, And for that, I don't feel like my sister should be around him. I've never been disrespectful to him or anything.
You assaulted him, sir.
No, ma'am, but
yes,
prior
you
to the
did.
incident,
You assaulted him, sir. He was taunting you, which is not very smart of a grown-up man to do.
Yes, ma'am.
Not very smart to a big 17-year-old, you know, who certainly outweighs him and certainly outmuscles him. But you have no right to put your body on him in any way. You should have been smarter, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Now,
But I had to confront the lie.
Mr. Heath, have you ever been arrested for a sexual offense on a child?
No, ma'am.
The next question is irrelevant, therefore, and you've never been convicted. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
You have any children of your own?
Yes, ma'am. We have 4 biological children and 1 foster child.
How old is the foster child?
She is 32.
So you raised her.
Affirmative.
And your 4 children, how old are they?
We have a boy who's now Sergeant George Heath of the 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment. We have twin boys, Pete and Repeat. One is Staff Sergeant Joseph Heath of the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment. Our other son is Specialist David Heath, who recently was last week was taken out by shrapnel in Baghdad, but he's doing just fine. He'll be in the United States today. And then my daughter, Rebecca Heath, she's 23. She's a certified nurse's aide and a senior in health administration.
Have any of these children visited your home?
Yes.
You live in your home with your wife?
Yes.
How long have you been married?
31 years, ma'am.
Mr. Pepper.
Yes, ma'am.
We are supposed to rejoice in the differences among people in this country. That means that not everybody is made the same.
I know that.
Some people say affirmative rather than yes. Some people may appear to be, to you, a little peculiar, but that doesn't make them a pervert.
No, ma'am,
That doesn't make them strange. That wouldn't inspire me to say to somebody who's the father of 4 children, don't put your hands on my sister. Now, if you said to me that he hit her in the behind or tapped her in the butt, I would say, go over there and you can knock his lights out. Well, what you told me was he patted her on the head, and you just didn't like the way that looked. And you went outside, and all you heard was your son saying to you, he touched your daughter, and you blew. You didn't listen. I think that what you have to do is celebrate the differences amongst people, Mr. Pepper. You have perfect right to say to your daughter, listen, I don't want you to go over to neighbors, strangers, or whatever. Absolutely no business, despite the fact that Mr. Keith was not smart.
Yes, ma'am.
Has no right to go over there and chest bump him, belly bump him, or whatever other kind of bump him he did. His lawsuit asks for $1,700. He's going to get that. You have a counterclaim. Counterclaim is that he filed false charges against you with Child Protective Services. When did he file charges against you with Child Protective Services?
Per the letter, it says on 5/2 that there was an investigation.
And what makes you think that it was Mr. Heath who filed those charges?
Okay, when we went to court for a restraining order, that was denied. Mr. Heath subpoenaed the CP.
Who went to court for a restraining order?
George filed a restraining order on me and my son.
Well, he should have.
Right.
Your son used force against him.
Right.
Was it granted?
No, they were both denied.
Oh, that's ridiculous. In my judgment, it's ridiculous. What grounds do you have to file for an application for a protective order against Mr. Heath?
Because when the incident happened, my daughter constantly goes over there, and it's like he's everywhere my daughter is, he's behind her. Like it's in a place that he goes across the street that my daughter plays at. He's never over there, but every time my daughter is over there, George is over there. You know what I'm saying? It's like it seems like everywhere my daughter is, I see George, normal places where he doesn't go. He's normally in his yard. Like he comes in my yard and uses the water hose. He was told by the judge, he was told by the police officers that he keeps calling on me to stay away from us. We were told to stay away from each other. I agreed. But he constantly, like if my daughter's in the yard, I don't let her out the yard because of the situation. I'll make her stay in the yard and ride the bike. George will come over, open the gate, and use the water hose, or, you know, just do stuff to, you know, to have me try to have confrontation towards us.
What proof do you have that Mr. Heath called?
I don't have proof that he called, but for our restraining order, he had all the information. How does he know that CPS came to my house? When we went to court, he filed a subpoena for the CPS worker to come to our restraining order. That's how I assumed that he called, because...
Did you have that information, Mr. Heath?
The reason I know that Ms. Johnson is a child protective worker is that she was at Ms. Coleman's door, and when I saw her, and I said, I don't think Ms. Coleman's there. She asked, who are you? I identified myself and where I live, and then she identified herself, and we went into my apartment, and we had a discussion concerning, well, actually, one of the things we discussed is whether or not I am a pedophile. Obviously, I'm here, not arrested, so she felt there was no basis for the allegation that I'm a pedophile.
Did you make a call to Child Protective Services, sir?
Can I leave that under confidentiality?
See what I'm saying?
Well,
yes or no?
see,
I'll answer if you want me to.
The point is, Mr. Heath, if you had grounds in your judgment to place a call to Child Protective Services, because that's her counterclaim, she says that you had no basis. She believes that you did call.
Okay, that would be a different question. Would I have, if I called, would I have a basis? The answer is yes, I would.
Well, tell me what basis you had if you had called.
Okay.
Got it.
I'm sorry, I don't consider that very funny. The basis I have is that I have seen her use the most unusual type of child rearing, curse words at her daughter. I've seen her with an open hand strike her daughter in the head. Also, I am quite suspicious that her daughter has some type of minimal brain damage. I'm not sure if it's cerebral palsy.
Shh, quiet. You can't be quiet, you'll leave. Do you understand? Good. Go ahead.
I am not sure if it's cerebral palsy, or I'm not sure if it's attention deficit disorder, but I know she has fine motor coordination problems because one of the things I have done with the children is to plant a garden. And when Sanji came up to plant, she could not follow my simple instructions that I could get children half her age to do. So I am just...
Put your hand down. Go ahead.
I am quite concerned. I do know...
Okay, so that would be the basis. If you had called...
If I had called.
If you had called, that would be the reason that you called.
Affirmative.
Go ahead.
Okay. As far as me, the allegation was that I called my daughter the B word and I hit her with an open fist. My daughter is really, I would never, I do not use that word. I don't like that word. I don't like to be called that word because my mother called me that, and I would never call my children that, no matter how angry or what we were going through. So that's just ridiculous. And as far as me hitting my daughter with an open fist, there's just no...
Open hand.
Yeah, open hand. There's no way. I don't... You can ask my son. She doesn't even get in trouble. So I don't even know.
Your counterclaim's denied. You owe Mr. Heath $1,700, which is what he's asking for this assault. Mr. Heath may be a peculiar man. He may not have exercised good judgment when he taunted you by repeating your sister's name. It doesn't give you license to put your hand or your body, and you have a big body, sir, on another human being. You have no right to do that. As I said, there is no indication today that Mr. Heath is anything other than maybe a slight bit odd.
I resemble that remark.
Right. But that's it. And we celebrate that kind of stuff in this country. You have an absolute right to say to your daughter, I don't want you to play with Mr. Heath. I don't want you alone with him. Don't go to his house. But you can't put your hands on him. Do you get it?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,700. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Cheryl Wills says her estranged son-in-law, Richard Sharp, owes for half the cost of his wedding. Richard claims he need to pay.
What is all that stuff?
This is stuff that I brought that I don't have actual receipts for, just to show you that.
What is it?
It's the Unity candle, some table decorations that we made, the candle stands.
Bert, could you do me a favor? Could we get rid of that? I don't need all that stuff here.
Where do you want me to put it?
I put it on the floor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ma'am, take this stuff, put it on the floor, please. Thank you.
Perfect. Ms. Wells, this is what the case is about. Mr. Sharp is your soon-to-be ex-son-in-law. He and your daughter had a very short and unpleasant marriage, and it is your claim that he had agreed to pay for half the wedding. The loan lasted longer than the wedding.
Correct.
Now they're going to get a divorce, and you want half the cost of the wedding, which was, you say his half was $7,000?
Correct.
Mr. Sharp says, listen, I never agreed to pay for a big wedding. So, Mr. Sharp, this, I assume, is your soon-to-be ex-wife?
Yes, ma'am.
How long were the two of you dating before you decided to get married?
4 months, Your Honor.
What?
4 months.
And whose brilliant idea was it to get married?
Mine, Your Honor.
Could you speak up
Mine.
a little bit? I'm old. I have...
Mine. Mine.
Did you give her a ring?
Yes.
How much did you pay for it?
I want to say about 200 and maybe 34 bucks, 40 bucks.
What kind of work do you do?
I work for Sun Cruise Casino and a gambling boat.
And how much do you earn a week?
I make 8, but I bring home like 7. 700.
A week?
Every 2 weeks.
Okay. When your daughter came home and showed you the engagement ring and told you that Mr. Sharp had asked her to marry him, what did you think?
I didn't approve of it. I didn't like it because they didn't know each other that long, but...
Well, that's a good judgment on your part. When you saw the engagement ring that he bought your daughter, what did you think of it?
I didn't have any thoughts. I mean, I
Did
thought...
you think that he wanted to get her the best possible engagement ring he could?
That he possibly could,
Listen,
yes.
listen to me. Did you think that he wanted to get her the best possible engagement ring he could afford?
Yes, I did.
And he spent $230 on the engagement ring, which was the best he could afford, right? That's what you thought.
I didn't know how much it cost him.
But it wasn't. We're not talking about the Hope Diamond here.
No.
Now, who wanted the big wedding?
Richard did.
Did you?
Yes.
Why?
At the time, I was in love with her, and after we got married,
Listen to me, Richard. You didn't take any snoozy pills this morning, did you?
No, ma'am.
I want you to listen to the question. Your mother-in-law says you were the one who wanted the big wedding. Is that true?
Yes.
Who was supposed to pay for it?
She was.
Your Honor...
Shh. Why was she supposed to pay for a big wedding if you wanted it?
So I
Do you want to take a nap?
No.
Who is this?
My stepfather.
Step up here with him. Tell me your name.
Frank, Your Honor.
Frank what?
Enoch.
Mr. Enoch, do you understand my question?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Miss Wells wants your stepson to reimburse her for half the wedding. Ordinarily, I would say, listen, that's ridiculous. Usually, it is the bride's family's responsibility to pay for the wedding.
Your Honor...
I'm speaking. My father and mother paid for my first wedding. They paid for my second wedding. And then my father said, the next one's on you. However, you see, I'm having trouble communicating with your stepson, sir, because I'm not quite getting the fact that he's wrapped too
He's
tight.
nervous, that's all.
He doesn't look nervous. Mr. Enoch, he looks tired. Are you nervous?
Not really.
I can try harder.
I don't think you'll be able to make me nervous.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you, Mr.
I understand what
Enoch?
you're saying.
So Miss Wells says he's the one who wanted the big wedding. I don't know why. It's usually the bride that wants the big wedding. You didn't want a big wedding?
No, ma'am.
Step up here with your mother. Why did he want a big wedding? He had a whole bunch of friends?
When he was working at the car lot, he was inviting people he didn't even know that would come and make a payment to our wedding.
I want you to tell me what happened when you started to discuss the cost of it.
We sat down, and me and my mother explained to him, we don't have this kind of money. We don't even know these people. If it was, if it was some people he knew, then fine, but he didn't know these people.
So what did he say?
He said, well, I think they should come anyway, and I'll pay for half the wedding since it's mostly my people that I want to come.
Is that what you said?
No, ma'am.
How many people were at the wedding, Mr. Sharp?
There's about 120, 140.
How many people were at the wedding?
73.
Of the 73 guests, how many were his family and friends and how many yours?
60 of them was his.
You mean you had 13?
Yeah, because we're not from Florida.
60 were his family and friends?
Yes.
And 13 were your family. Is that right?
Correct.
Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
How many were your family and friends?
My family was 5, and there was maybe like 3 or 4 friends of mine.
Your Honor, I have the wedding pictures. I also have the kind of people that you're dealing with. This is public record.
I don't need to see the kind of people that I'm dealing with. I just have to try to figure out whose responsibility is to pay for this fiasco.
Fiasco is correct.
These pictures?
Now, let me take a look at the wedding pictures. Miss Wells, is this your only child?
This is my only daughter, yes.
This is your only daughter?
Yes.
You should go around the desk praying 3 times, get down, kiss the floor, and say, thank God she got out when she did.
You're correct. I agree.
Because you don't have any children with him, do you?
No, ma'am.
But for the grace of God, you could have had a grandchild fathered by this guy.
No, thank you.
I agree with you.
No, thank you. Really.
Unless he's hiding something from me that I don't see.
Well, you're not missing much.
Okay. Who was in this picture? Can you see it from there?
Yes.
Who was in this picture?
That's me, Jack, Bill, Terry.
Who are they?
Friends of mine.
Friends of yours?
And the one guy, Jack, I used to work for him.
You said 3 or 4, so that these are the only people at the wedding that were your friends?
There might be a little bit more, but other than that.
Who are these people?
That's my stepbrother, and that's her stepfather.
Okay, so you got a stepbrother here.
Yes.
Was he in this picture too?
No, ma'am.
These people come with their significant others, or they come stag?
They came with others.
With others?
They came with their
So you got to do this times 2, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's more than 3. Even you could tell that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Madam, it's clear to me that he had certainly more than 3 or 4 people at the wedding. So what you're telling me is he said to you, these are the people that I want at the wedding, they're friends that I work with?
Not friends that he works with, but he was working at a car lot, and people that would come in to make their payments that he would talk to just to make their payments, he would invite to our wedding that he did not know.
Your Honor, I had to finally put a stop to it because this list was like 300 people.
Who was supposed to pay for all these people, all these strangers?
I felt that I was going to pay for them, but as soon as she said she put a stop to it, I said, okay, never mind then.
All right. Now, where were they married?
At the Ramada Inn.
Had you taken the Ramada Inn before or after you had this discussion with him about inviting too many people to the wedding?
I'd already talked to the Ramada Inn, and then when he kept adding
No, I want you to make sure you give me the honest answer. You had gone to the Ramada Inn, you have to give them a deposit and reserve the date.
Correct.
Had you done that before you had the discussion with him?
Yes, but he kept adding to the list.
You don't have to repeat it. I understand what you're saying to me. So you had already taken the hall, and initially he was not going to pay for half the wedding. That's according to what I'm gathering now. It was not until after he started adding all these people.
No, Your Honor, that's not correct. He agreed to pay for half the wedding.
No,
we went to the.
I was there when it was discussed.
No, I don't believe that, Miss Wells.
But that is
Listen to me. Miss
No.
Wells, I don't believe that. I don't believe that
true.
somebody who buys a $230 engagement ring makes a knowing decision to pay for half the wedding that, according to you, cost $14,000.
I wanted them to elope. I offered to give them $2,000 so I didn't have to pay for this big wedding. He had already agreed to.
Now you want to talk to me?
Yes.
Good. Now I'll hear you. But make sure you're telling me in a loud, clear voice.
I did not agree to pay for half of this wedding, Your Honor.
Well, tell me what happened.
What happened is, I started adding people to the list, and she said, no, I can't afford all these people to come, Your Honor. So I said, okay, well, we'll stop all them people, because who even knows if half of them people are going to show up.
Your Honor, that's not right, because I even paid for his probation. He was supposed to pay me that back as well, and he has not even done that.
And her daughter paid her back out of that with her income tax money, Your Honor.
Just a second. So what you're telling me is you were on probation, you had certain fines,
Yes, ma'am.
and she paid your fines
With her income tax.
because you didn't have the money.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So how could you reasonably expect him to pay $7,000 for a wedding when he couldn't even pay his own probation fine?
We paid his probation off so he could get off by the beginning of February for our wedding.
You working?
Yes.
Pay your mother back for this wedding.
No way.
Pay your mother back for this wedding.
I've paid her half of the wedding already.
I don't believe that he agreed to pay you for half the wedding.
He didn't, Your Honor.
I don't believe that.
Your Honor, he did agree to pay for that wedding.
Do you have that in writing someplace?
I don't have papers for that.
You should. You're dealing with someone who is a convicted felon. It would seem to me if someone agreed to
Your
pay.
Honor, he goes to church every Sunday.
I'm speaking. I have to come up in my mind, if he agreed to pay you, which I doubt, but let's say he said, I'll pay for half the wedding. Any legitimate and reasonable expectation that this person who spent $200 for an engagement ring and couldn't pay his probation fines was going to be able to pay for a $14,000 wedding. What was the nature of the felony that you were convicted of?
Sales and possession.
Sale and possession of what?
Cocaine.
How many times?
Twice.
2 different arrests?
Yes.
That means you got caught twice.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that you sold only twice. It means you got caught twice.
I got caught twice.
Well, then you are smart.
Yes, ma'am.
Pretty smart. Because
Well, not pretty smart for selling drugs.
But you were pretty smart. You did it a few times and you didn't get caught, right?
I should have done it at all.
I asked you a question.
Just answer.
Yes.
Just a second.
Yes.
Don't tell him what to say, Mr. Enoch. I think he understands me pretty well, sir. I think he's keeping his cool because I don't think that with this kind of act, this young woman would have said yes to this proposal.
Your Honor, can I say something? Please.
Go ahead.
He goes to church every Sunday. We thought that he was reformed. I mean, you're supposed to give everybody a chance. And that's exactly what we did. We believed him.
And the reason that the wedding was ended is because he moved in with his girlfriend that he had before we were married.
No. Your Honor, this lady, my soon-to-be ex-wife, she thinks I am sleeping with this girl, Melissa, okay? Me and Melissa ain't together.
Ma'am.
She would not sleep with me because I am married to this young lady here. And I got to respect that.
So you've asked her to?
Listen to me. I just wanted to hear him talk because so far I've had monosyllabic conversations with him, and I wanted to make sure that he was more together than he was presenting. I'm speaking more together than he was presenting to me a moment ago. I do not believe that he agreed to pay for half the wedding. It's unfortunate. And my advice to everyone out there is don't spend an awful lot of money on first weddings. Wait for the second one. They usually hold out a little bit better.
Your Honor,
I'm
he
sorry,
did
Miss
agree.
Wells. So I don't believe it. That's all.
Audience are excused. You may step out.
25-year-old Suzanne Hiller is suing her ex-husband, Patrick King, for her lost wages after their daughter broke her leg.
Now it's case number